2-minute drill. Highlight reel, let's review. What's the deal, okay? Watching footage going out of control. Buckle up, we got an hour to go, so let's go. That's straight heat. Ain't no chillin' around here. Back that back, Nat chins, how we feelin' around here? Got my whole squad in the building around here. If my name ain't on it, then I really don't care. Come on. 3-point stance, we advance. Ball in my hands, I don't take no chance. Touchdown dance, that's my jam. No hot takes, this is nothing but rants.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? Really like that. You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Well, I guess you kind of missed your opportunity to do your cold open. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Back inside the studio for yet another episode with just me and Kirby. Again, Brooks on his football pilgrimage at the moment. Will be gone for the entire week. And actually, I believe this will be our last show of the week because I will be out of town on Thursday. We got some March Madness going on Thursday. The dogs are going to be playing.
Look who's getting left behind. Who's willing to work on Thursday, by the way.
Or I'm just covering for you being a good teammate. Maybe Kirby's the one that's actually not going to be here, and I'm just kind of taking the blow on this one.
You know what? If any of you want to see JWill, I'm not gonna dox you, but I am jealous of that.
So, yeah, chat's hitting it right now. As Brooks would say, last show, best show. Here on a Tuesday evening, we got a loaded show for you guys tonight here in the NBR Hour. We're going to talk some Big Ten win totals. You know, yesterday we talked about the SEC. Now we're going to hop over to the Big Ten. Got some news with a former college football player, NFL player, that is refusing to unretire his jersey at his alma mater. More spring clips are surfacing, Kirby. You know, the spring propaganda, as we like to call it around here. There's a whole lot of talking points there. Some controversial takes flying around. We're going to address those. Kirby's top 5 of the week. Another controversial topic around here, it appears, is Kirby clip farming? Is he aura farming? What is he doing? We don't know.
I fully 1,000% mean every ranking I have. This is not clip farming. This is not rage baiting. None of that.
We'll be the judge of that tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
Best and worst coordinating hires, or most questionable instead of worst. We're going to deem it most questionable coordinating hires. We're going to discuss those. And then sticking with some coaches, we're going to go most to gain this season and also most to lose. I put together a list of the coaches that have the most to gain this week or this season. Kirby put together the most to lose. So we're going to do that as well. So again, another loaded NBR hour that we have for you guys. Kirby, are you doing good? Are you ready for show? Are you prepared?
I'm always prepared for show.
Always prepared. All right, well, that's a good thing. Well, let's start with the news, as we always do around here. Matt Leinart not unretiring his jersey, reluctant to do so. USC proposed and asked if he would be willing to do so, but no, he is not doing that. He is saying, no, that jersey stays retired. Too much of a legend. Nobody can ever wear this again.
No, not only that, he is adamant on this, and the quote was absolutely effing not when done so. And I believe, and I don't think they disclosed the player that it would be unretired for, but it was kind of floated out there of, hey, Matt, would you be willing to do this so that we can entice this player to come to our this
was for a recruit, huh?
Yeah, this recruit to come to our team. It's like, dude, these kids don't know nowadays. And he made the quote of like, why would I unretire or something for a kid who might be able to leave the season later after in the portal? Like, that's ridiculous.
The only instance where I have seen this happen where someone who has their jersey retired and hops off of it and allows somebody else to wear this is actually at the University of Georgia. Dominique Wilkins allowed his son to rock the number 21 this season for Georgia. That's that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know, it's your son,
different.
It's your own legacy continuing to build at the same place that you went. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense. But yeah, Matt Leinart's like, why would I do that for some random that you guys want to recruit? And hey, he may not actually even come here, but also like, if this is actually a request for this recruit, like, oh, yeah, I'll come here if you can let me wear number 11, if that happens. If you can get Matt Leinart to say, I can wear number 11, I'll come to the USC. Priorities are probably out of whack there.
For sure.
If that's at the top of your list, if that's what it takes, maybe not the player you want committing to your program.
No, for sure. And even Matt Leinart did say, like, if his son gets to USC, play football there, all that stuff, like, that's who he'd unretire it for. But we're not doing this just to honorary number thing. Oh, we're fine with this. So
yeah, so interesting. I completely understand it from Matt Leinart's side. Stay 10 toes down. You built your own legacy there. You did enough to have your jersey hung in the rafters or put on the wall inside the stadium. Not in the rafters. There's no rafters over there at
the Ring of Honor.
The Ring of Honor. We'll call it that. The Ring of Honor. So completely understand that. Now, we'll stick with the news, some more social media news, if you will. Spring clips continuing to happen.
They're
I think
back.
the biggest one that was talked about today, at least on my social media feed, was Byron Brown's throwing motion. Whole lot of takes being thrown around on this one.
yeah, and Brooks was kind of the first one on this take of when he broke down the film. Shout out to him of. Yeah, this is kind of an odd motion. There's a wide hitch. There's a lot going on here. Very, very long, elongated throwing motion. Kind of what raised concerns about him. And obviously the Twitter world is now getting wind of this, and they are absolutely crucifying this kid because of his throwing motion. So before I give my take, I want to hear your thoughts on it because.
Well, so I mean, obviously I understand that there's a way that we all want things to look from a quarterback standpoint, especially in today's game of college football. Like, everybody's getting the ball out quicker. So the quicker our motion is, the more fluid our motion is, then the better off we will be. This is often a controversial topic with a lot of quarterbacks that have these elongated motions, who might have a little hitch in their throwing motion, how you decide to deliver the football, all those good things. We talk about it all the time on this channel. And I'll admit, Byron Brown's is very drastic. I mean, he is dipping it below his hip, and it is a very elongated process. But this is my ultimate take. For a player like Byron Brown, who has been playing college football for multiple years, has had success playing this position at USF, and is now looking to do so for the Auburn Tigers this upcoming year. We all know what USF did when he was a quarterback and how successful they were. I mean, even went up against multiple SEC opponents, gave them a run for their money, even knocked off the Florida Gators this past season as well. Like, we understand, like, he had success. So that's where I lie with of, yeah, it looks a little funky. It may not be ideal, but this guy has had success with it. Obviously, it's not that huge of a problem for him. Like, he's still getting the job done.
Yeah, and I mean, like, here's my thing. There's absolutely a valid argument to be made for, hey, this player's throwing motion is weird. It's not going to translate well to the NFL. Save that for when these are draft prospects. We've seen a handful of players have, ugly throwing motions. Haynes King was getting torched for his throwing motion when he was at Texas A&M. He's the best Georgia Tech quarterback they've had in the last decade, easily. Another guy, Gunnar Stockton, is the guy who's also kind of, we on this show said, like, it's a concern. He was fantastic for Georgia last year. Arguably the greatest college football quarterback of all time, Tim Tebow, had a horrendous throwing motion. It was something that NFL GMs were very afraid of. So, like, there is valid reasons to be concerned about this, especially when you get to the NFL where split seconds matter. All of those things, your quick delivery time for getting the ball out of your hands is important. But I don't think this is necessarily something to look at the college level and go, trash, this kid's going to be terrible.
And something to note of all those names that you just mentioned, of all of those were great running quarterbacks. Byron Brown is one of those as well. Like, it's not like if your only bag is that you're a great pocket passer and we don't have this ultra fluid motion when we're throwing the football, then yeah, it becomes a bigger talking point. But Byron Brown's one of the best rushing quarterbacks we have in college football at the moment. Haynes King was this. Tim Tebow was this. This gets brought up with Gunnar Stockton. We've seen his ability with the ball in his hands when he's taken off running. Like, these are often, like, they have a multitude of ways to kill defenses and to be efficient as a quarterback. So I understand it, but again, like, he's playing in the same offense that he did at USF. He's under the same coach. A lot of the former players that he had at USF are now at Auburn with him as well. I don't think that this is going to be like if Auburn goes out there and has a bad season this year, maybe the offense isn't as successful as it was during their time at USF. I don't think it's going to be because Byron Brown dips the ball below his waist and has a hitch in his throwing motion. That's not going to be the reason why.
Classic spring overreaction thing.
Oh, for sure. Now, speaking of overreactions, we got what seems to be our first fully in-depth look at Cam Coleman in a Texas Longhorns uniform.
Yeah.
And people were going nuts, and I get it. I mean, he looks great. He looked great in an Auburn uniform. He looks great in a Texas uniform. He especially looks great when Arch Manning is out there throwing passes to him, but very similar to reaction that Ohio State fans had to seeing Chris Henry for the first time of, man, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I think one of the quotes that I saw from a Twitter account was, the SEC is screwed.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look, Cam Coleman is a fantastic wide receiver. He's a fantastic talent. None of us are denying that. I do think this is another example of just spring overreactions to where, we've got the new shiny toy on our team, and this is the first time we get to look at it and the first time we get to go out and play with it, and we are all for it. Now, Cam Coleman could have a legendary season in Texas this year. It's fully in the cards, but I don't think that this clip is enough for me to stamp and say, all right, we've got the best wide receiver in the SEC right here.
Yeah, and the clip was like, the one at least I saw was like 2 minutes long, I want to say, or something along the lines of that. But the first like 30 seconds of it was him just going through some warm-ups, and then it was a video of him running beside Arch Manning. Like, no drills involved whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's the reaction that we got. Now, obviously, you got a little better of a look of him in some drills and actually doing wide receiver things that he'll be doing on the field on Saturdays this year. But, I mean, the conversation around Cam Coleman ultimately stems from what we've continuously talked about with him of, are we going to see a bigger route tree from him this year? Because very limited in his time at Auburn. I mean, this guy was – people would probably deem him as a 50-50 ball merchant because he's really good at it. Yeah. I mean, that's one of his best probably the biggest strength he has as a wide receiver, but it was goes and curls and comebacks. Like, that's all he was really relied upon as a receiver at Auburn, where – at Texas, they run a lot of Dovers and they run a lot of crossers and all of those things. Like, is he going to be involved in that? I'm sure he will be, but that's the bigger proponent talking with him.
And to his credit, the drills that we did see, a lot of change of direction being done very well, a lot of, having to make a large catch radius, which has never been a problem for him, but it does seem like they're going to have a more extenuated bag for routes for him this season. It's not just going to be, all right, hitch, screen, or a fade. So shout out to that. It's a very exciting thing, but again, let's not overreact yet.
Yeah, and I think this might be the biggest overreaction that I saw. I know that Texas fans were all over the place when it came to Cam Coleman, but we got some more looks at George McIntyre and Faison Brandon in a Tennessee uniform. Quarterback battle pursues up there. They also got Ryan Staub from Colorado State, I believe it was. Or was it Colorado? I think he may play one of the Colorado. And Brooks said it in the film study that we released today. If you haven't watched that, you should definitely go check that out. We went back and watched high school tape of both Faison Brandon and George McIntyre, and the clips that we had of McIntyre at Tennessee this past season. But we broke both of those athletes down and we said, Staub, probably not the guy that's going to be starting for Tennessee. So it really does boil down to Brandon, the true freshman, and McIntyre. And you said that people were really talking about McIntyre's weight or the lack thereof, like hasn't seen a whole lot of development in the body.
Yeah, so this is also a very good way to test kind of what the fan base is feeling, because obviously Texas fans right now are, oh my God, Arch Manning's back. We've got Cam Coleman, the SEC screwed, it's ours to take. They're very high on their program right now, understandably so. You are not getting those vibes from Tennessee Twitter. The majority of things that I saw from Tennessee were that freshman tight end that they have. I believe it's Tristan. Either way, they were unimpressed with the way he was moving. They were talking about George McIntyre.
Oh, Tristan Keys, the 5-star wide receiver.
Yes, the 5-star wide receiver. They were, he does not move well for an 18-year-old. He looks like he's 45, stuff like that. George McIntyre looked like he hadn't put on any weight, according to them, of, oh, man, he's still a twig. This is ridiculous, even despite the fact that reports indicate he's gone from 180 pounds to over 200. Like, he's put on 20. He's reportedly put on 20 pounds, and he looks still good there. So a lot of negativity coming from the Tennessee fan base, and it's on the other side of overreactions of like, oh, George McIntyre looks terrible. Our 5-star wide receiver looks like he can't run a route. All of these things of, understandably so, Tennessee's coming off one of their worst seasons of the Josh Heupel era, or most disappointing seasons of the Josh Heupel era.
And that's what I was going to say of like, it's been a lot of doom and gloom around that program. Like, I'm sure a lot of Tennessee fans were hoping that Joey Aguilar was going to get another season and he was going to be the starting quarterback, and then maybe next year Faison Brandon's ready to take over the reins of the offense, or George McIntyre, one of the two. And yeah, this year it feels like you're kind of pigeonholed into a year that I wouldn't say is rebuilding, but that's kind of what it feels like. I think you're going to be rebuilding on defense with the hire of Jim Knowles and the shifting of new players on that roster. Lost really good players in the secondary, and Jermon McCoy and Colton Hood, like those aspects of it. And then on top of that, we're working in a new quarterback. And then You see one of your first looks at your 5-star wide receiver, and it's not the best clip, but also I would point out that you saw one rep, and he ran however many routes. He did however many things at practice, way more than just one. So you're seeing 10 seconds of him at practice when they were there for 2.5 hours or however long it was. So don't overreact to just one clip. But when things are doom and gloom around a program, fans, especially I would say Tennessee fans, one of the more passionate fan bases in college football, kind of just continue to rain on the parade like, oh, everything's bad, everything sucks, woe is me.
And look, it also bleeds over from other sports. Like Tennessee athletics as a whole have had a rough month. This isn't to poke fun at them or make any jokes at their expense. Like the Georgia loss was very, very tough. The Tennessee basketball program hasn't been what they hoped it would be this season, I don't think necessarily. So you carry all of that into, all right, spring practice comes up, and you're just not that excited to see what you have. You're more looking for reasons to be upset. You're going to find them. So.
Oh, 100%. Now, like we always say, like it doesn't matter what clip it is from spring practice. It's always overreactions. It's always, whoa, this is horrible. Whoa, this is great. There's no middle ground here. It's always over the top or completely undersold. So those were the clips that we found today, and we were brought to you on this show. Now, let's move over to the Big Ten. We know yesterday we talked about the SEC win totals, the projected win totals of every SEC team for this upcoming year. Now we got the Big Ten on the docket today. Now, did you have any big takeaways here? Like, I would say, honestly, kind of what I expected. I think that of anything, it would be, man, it just hasn't worked out at Nebraska. Like, completely taken 10 steps backwards, it's felt like, since going into last year. We're talking about, hey, maybe this is a dark horse for the college football playoff from the Big Ten. Maybe things are looking up. Year 3 with Matt Rule, they're talking about it. We're talking about it. Is it actually going to unfold to anything? And then you have a disappointing season last year. Dylan Raiola now transferring to Oregon to be a backup, not even as a starter. He got hurt in the middle of the season last year as well, so you didn't even get to finish the season with him. And here you are projected at 5.5 wins.
Yeah, the initial takeaways, certainly Nebraska is probably going to have to look for a new head coach. Matt Rule's probably not the answer for all the reasons you said. 5.5 win totals for any program isn't great. Nebraska's been looking for, it feels like, 2 decades now to find that coach that's going to reignite them, that's going to provide that spark to make that program competitive again like it was in the 90s. I don't think Matt Rule's the guy, and these projections would certainly indicate that. I was surprised that Ohio State got 9.5.
Tough schedule.
It's a tough schedule for sure, and I think that's definitely what's causing it. But it does look at that. You do look at that and kind of go, this is interesting. Now, again, the amount of players that they have lost from the NFL draft in the last 2 seasons just alone is a lot. Ryan Day obviously is doing a lot of overturn with offensive coordinator changes. He lost Brian Hartline this year, who was a fantastic recruiter at the wide receiver position. So there's a lot of changes at Ohio State. 9.5 wins is still respectable. It's still would be the highest in the SEC. The other takeaway I have is Indiana seems to be legit, and they seem to be sipping the Kool-Aid on that absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
This is no longer just viewed as a, hey, 1-year fluke. Like, Vegas believes in what Kurt Cignetti has built over there.
Biggest surprise for me, by far, Penn State sitting at 9.5 with Ohio State, first year under Matt Campbell. We saw what it was last year with James Franklin, after James Franklin. I mean, just the epitome of a blow-up, like completely decimated. Went from the number 1 overall team in the country in some people's eyes to a college football playoff hopeful. Some said would be the eventual national title winner last year, to just an absolute struggle bus of a season. And then now you get Matt Campbell, which it looked like you weren't going to get anybody to take that head coaching job. Nobody wanted it. And then you back yourself into Matt Campbell, a really good coach. He brings over Rocco Becht, so a really good addition to that roster, transitioning from Drew Aller and whatever the heck that was and the rest of the quarterbacks on that roster to, hey, we got Rocco Becht at least. But, yeah, 9.5 in the first year under Matt Campbell. Now, I haven't looked at their schedule. I don't know a whole lot about this roster, but seems a little hefty for a first-year transition.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not going to necessarily do this where Penn State's just Iowa State in a different uniform this year.
Right.
But there's a lot of Iowa State players on this roster. There were a lot of departures from Penn State to other rosters into the NFL draft. If you were to make the case that blank is just another team, it's probably Penn State is just another Iowa State this year.
Okay. I get it.
There's not a lot on the schedule. And there's that, but
guys, this might be the easiest schedule in the Big Ten.
Let's hear
I
it.
completely understand why this is at 9.5 now. Marshall at Temple for some weird reason.
Go out.
Buffalo, Wisconsin, Northwestern, USC. That's a home game, by the way. At Michigan, Purdue, at Washington, Minnesota, Rutgers, at Maryland.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy schedule.
Your two toughest games are going to be USC and Michigan, and those are back-to-back, but then you get a bye week after that. I understand why it's at 9.5. I completely get this, but still, like I said, it's. I know Matt Campbell's not in his first year of coaching, but this is his first time at Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of roster turnover there. Like, I think expecting or projecting 9.5 wins is a bit lofty.
Well, not only that, when you look at it you zoom it out and go, Ohio State and Penn State are projected to have the same records this year. Ohio State, the team that was number one all throughout the regular season, and Penn State last year, a team that collapsed completely and fired their coach. They're projected to have the same wins. That's interesting. So I definitely think it's that. I think USC and Michigan are probably the appropriately rated ones.
Right.
USC, Lincoln Riley, we're kind of still trying to figure out if this team's going to be serious about contending for a national championship. Michigan, we've seen the talent on that roster. There's a lot to be had there. Everyone kind of believes in Kyle Whittingham, so it all makes sense. And then, you get down the list, Minnesota, Northwestern, Rutgers, Maryland, Michigan State, Purdue. Those all kind of become crapshoots.
Wisconsin and UCLA being at 6.5, kind of notable to me. Like, these are two teams that have been bad.
Oh, very bad.
I know that UCLA managed to pull off an upset last year against a Penn State team, but we found out what Penn State was actually about last year. But two teams, again, that I'm saying like we're bottom feeders in this conference, and 6.5 isn't a lot. Like, you're either saying are they bowl eligible or are they not? But I mean, these are two teams that have been irrelevant for the better part of their time over the last couple of years, teams that really haven't felt like they're worth talking about. And yet they're projected to be at 6.5 wins this year. Again, above Nebraska, above Minnesota, like two teams that I would say are pretty respectable in that conference. So things are kind of moving up for those two programs, it seems, or at least in Vegas's eyes. I think they're kind of slowly stepping their way up.
Yeah, I mean, it's promising for them for sure. So, but yeah, I think that's all the takeaways I have from this.
I mean, the two on the bottom of the list are the two teams that you would probably expect: Michigan State and Purdue. It's just
I
it
miss
is what
when
it
Michigan
is.
State was good at football.
I miss when Purdue was formidable, where they was like, "Hey, Purdue, sleepy schedule.
Yeah,
don't sleep on that game." It seemed like every single week, if you had Purdue on the schedule, everybody was like, don't look past the Boilermakers this weekend." And now it's just, I mean, things just happen. Rutgers and Maryland, they're kind of where we expect them to be, 4.5 wins. So yeah, I think USC, Michigan, like you mentioned, they're where they're supposed to be with 8.5. I don't know what the expectations are for Trojan fans at this point in the Lincoln Riley experience, but 8.5.
I don't think they know either.
Huh?
I think it's gonna.
You don't think they know either? Yeah,
I think it'll kind of be you see what the first few weeks go, and then whatever it is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like, and call me wrong. I don't have my thumb on the heartbeat of that fan base, but I don't get a sense of like deep passion from USC fans. A ton of USC.
They certainly don't show up to their games like they have a bunch of deep passion. Now, they're one of these. I kind of put them in the same boat like I do Miami, where I feel like anytime you bring up the attendance at either of those schools' games, it's, we're such a national brand. They're just everywhere. Our fans are just spread out throughout the entire country and it makes sense. Like, they both had runs in similar eras. Like, they were the thing. USC was the thing for some time. Miami was the thing in college football for some time. But neither one of those programs have a whole lot to show for it when it comes to in-game attendance. I know there's a big talking point for us during Miami's run last year. USC, I mean, it seems like every single time I get a wide shot of the Coliseum on a Saturday night, it's hardly anybody's there.
Yeah,
there's not too many people showing up.
When you start roping off sections to put a logo in the stadium, I mean, clever.
Yeah, honestly, if nobody's going to buy the tickets, if you can't sell the tickets, sell it to somebody that'll smack a big logo on it. I mean, you're better off doing that than just wasting tickets and seats and having nobody show up and getting any money from anybody. So I guess making chicken salad out of chicken shit, as someone would say. What?
No, we're not using bad words today.
It's a phrase, though. Chicken poop. Sorry, but that it's a phrase. I'm sorry. I mean, I feel like I keep the language to a very, very minimum around here. Okay, so
it's the chair.
Hopefully, people don't the chair. I would say collectively we've been a lot better. We haven't been putting too many marks on the "don't say the F word" sheet.
Well, that's because he just stopped doing it.
Yeah, we really cleaned it up. So I'm sorry that just slipped. It just came out. I felt like it was fitting though. My apologies though.
It's all right.
All right, best and worst Well, we changed it. We didn't want to say worst coordinating hires. We decided to deem it as the most questionable coordinating hires.
I mean, you can't deem something as a complete failure until it is. Now, there's certainly things you can question the process of why exactly are you doing this, but I don't think it's fair to say that this is the worst hire when these guys haven't actually coached in these new positions.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And by the way, thank you to people in the chat reminding everybody. Make sure you're liking the stream, subscribe if you haven't already. All those good things, we appreciate you. All right, so this is a collective list. This is Kirby and I's list that we came up together. We'll start with the best hires. These kind of feel like no-brainers. We'll start with Charlie Weiss Jr.
Yeah.
Going from Ole Miss to LSU, obviously that's a home run hire for Lane Kiffin to bring you over your buddy.
And not only that, not only does it increase the continuity between you and your OC, watching what Ole Miss was able to do through the college football playoff, and there was kind of this, it's really the Lane Kiffin show. He's kind of running everything. And then seeing the offensive success they had with Trinidad Chambliss when Lane Kiffin was not there and it was just Charlie Weiss calling the plays really makes you realize how smart of a coordinator he is and how strong he is. So the fact that he's going now to LSU to team up with Lane Kiffin and get all of that talent that they're going to have available at their disposal, very, very good hire.
Yeah, and it was funny. Like, I would say that Lane Kiffin going to LSU was the best PR move for Charlie Weiss because, like you're mentioning, for the longest time, I think anytime anybody spoke about Ole Miss's offense under Lane Kiffin, that's Lane Kiffin's offense. He's calling the shots. He's doing everything for them. That's his thing. Like, Charlie Weiss is just there. He's just there for decoration, all that good stuff. And then Lane Kiffin, not allowed to coach in the playoffs, rightfully so. And Charlie Weiss Jr. still calling plays for Ole Miss during the playoff run. And the offense was still just as electric. They didn't miss a single beat. In fact, this is in the midst of Charlie being at Ole Miss, at LSU, flying back and forth, making sure he's taking care of things on both sides and calling. I mean, again, the offense was just smooth operation the entire time up until their season came to a close against Miami. But it was still the same old Ole Miss offense. It looked like Lane Kiffin's offense, even though Lane Kiffin wasn't there. So I think it was huge for his PR of like people really respect him for what he does for that offense now. And people are like, whoa, like maybe this isn't just Lane Kiffin's offense. I think Charlie has a huge portion in this as well.
For sure. Next on the list is another fairly obvious one, Will Muschamp at Texas DC. Like, no, Will Muschamp hasn't been a full-time defensive coordinator in a handful of seasons. It's still Will Muschamp. The pedigree is still there. And it's not like offenses where you have this one system that can get outdated very quickly. Defense is still defense.
Oh, yeah.
And it's much easier to adapt as a defensive-minded coach than an offensive-minded, in my opinion. So Will Muschamp is a slam dunk hire for Texas.
Yeah, now maybe this ages poorly with how much you forked over to get him to be your defensive coordinator. Like, we have no idea like how long this lasts or whatever, but they certainly have a whole lot of belief in him. One of the highest paid assistants in all of college football, and that's about the price it takes to get Will Muschamp off of his couch from kind of being around Athens and being with the University of Georgia to now being the defensive coordinator over at Texas. But also it makes sense. I know that Brooks has talked about this a lot, but it makes sense why they would be willing to pay him so much money because I can't imagine how much of a relief it is for Steve Sarkisian right now, especially in spring practice, to where he can really just back off. He can kind of just really focus on the offense, focus on his promising quarterback and all the players that they grabbed out of the transfer portal and be like, Will, that's you, baby. You're there. I'm over here. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to come check in on you. I know you're going to do your thing. Also a guy that has been with the Longhorn program before, so that's obviously a win as well. But, you know, Will Muschamp, maybe not the best head coach, but a hellified defensive coordinator and always gets the job done.
For sure.
Buster Faulkner, next up on the list. Again, another one of these no-brainer ones. Like, yeah, one of the best hires you could possibly get for a guy like John Summerall. First year at University of Florida, you bring Buster Faulkner over from Georgia Tech, who had a bunch of success, gave everybody fits with his offense. And on top of that, you align him with some former players that he has or current players that he had, like Bailey Stockton, Aaron Philo. Even got the, the wide receiver's name? Singleton. You bring Singleton over as well. So bringing some familiar faces into that offense. But, I mean, and it has proof of concept that this can work against the SEC in this conference. I mean, Georgia, just ask them what it's like facing Buster Faulkner for the past few years. It hasn't been fun. He's given them fits. So you know that this can work against some of the best defenses that you have to offer. And you pair that up with Florida, a much talented roster than Georgia Tech. I don't mean to throw any shade at Brent Key and those boys, but let's just be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the availability of resources is certainly going to be there for Buster Faulkner. And everyone's very high on Buster Faulkner, especially based on what they did at Georgia Tech. So I think it's a very solid hire to bring over a guy who has that much offensive prowess.
Yeah.
So
the only downside to this one is I don't know how long you're going to keep him. Like, this could be a one and done type deal. Like,
yeah,
if Buster Faulkner goes out here and it's averaging 39 points per game or 40 plus points per game with Florida this season, likely Buster Faulkner is going to be getting a head coaching job somewhere because it's only felt like a matter of time before he gets upgraded to a new position.
Yeah, don't get comfortable with having Buster Faulkner as your OC, Florida fans, but if it is a one and done, that means your offense was damn good.
Oh, yeah, that means
that's a successful first season.
100%. So you kind of hope maybe that he doesn't stick around very long. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that this lines up with like the first year or two with Summerall because those are always kind of like getting things going, building up the momentum. But
it's a catch-22.
Yeah, it is absolutely best way to put it. This one might be the best hire. Like, considering the situation, the location, who got him, Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator at Northwestern.
If we had it marked down between either him or Arthur Smith for Ohio State, we ultimately went with Chip Kelly because 2 years ago, Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator on a national championship winning team. Last year, Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator on an NFL team. Now, did not go very well for my Las Vegas Raiders, but there's pedigree in being one of the 32 NFL offensive coordinators. He is now the offensive coordinator for Northwestern.
Yeah.
That is a mass. And look, when you're Northwestern, you don't necessarily get the pick of the litter. You don't necessarily get to pick these big-name coordinators. You kind of have to hire within and hope that someone sticks or hope that one of these smaller guys ends up being big for it. You don't go out and get Chip Kelly, former head coach, former NFL head coach, national champion offensive coordinator, former NFL offensive coordinator. Like, this is a slam dunk hire for Northwestern.
Yeah, biggest one for Chip Kelly is he doesn't have to coach Geno Smith anymore. Also, one of these places as well where, like, like a coach in the era of Chip Kelly's career where, like, I'm not saying it's coming to an end or anything like that, but we've already had a whole lot of success as an offensive coordinator and also as a head coach during his time. So, like, we're kind of just continuing the livelihood of ourselves and also just wanting to be around football. So, like, you would think, like, oh, he's the new offensive coordinator in, like, UCLA. Okay, that makes sense. LA, California, good weather, cool place to live, or Miami, or somewhere like this is Northwestern. It's cold as balls all year long.
They got a new stadium though.
They do, and it's a really cool new stadium. So maybe that's the incentive. But also, if people remember correctly, there was some talk about Chip Kelly potentially being the offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech this season. He did an interview with Brent Key. That would have been a home run hire for Brent Key, like following up Buster Faulkner, and you nabbed Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
But so, like, kind of questioning there, like, how does Georgia Tech not get Chip Kelly, but Northwestern manages to? Like, I'm not trying to crap on Northwestern, but reality is what reality is.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's. I think we can use that as a metric to say, look at how great this hire is for Northwestern.
Oh, 100%.
You had a team like Georgia Tech sniffing around at this guy, and you got him.
Absolutely. All right, we'll move on to our most questionable.
I do think we need one more that deserves a shout-out for a solid hire, and I think this is it could result in a disaster for this team, but it was also a hire that needed to be made, and I think the fan base is happy about it. Jim Knowles at Tennessee is a good hire.
Oh, 100%.
Now I know that things at Penn State did not go very well for them, but yet again, this is a coordinator who 2 years ago was coaching a national championship roster, a very, very good national championship roster that's going to produce multiple first-round picks in the NFL draft this season and last season. So Jim Knowles, I think, is a very solid hire. Things didn't go great at Penn State. We all know that, but I think he could turn this Tennessee defense around because it needed it badly.
And I wouldn't be blaming Jim Knowles for the downfall of Penn State last year either. I don't think that anybody's pinning that on him. But for Tennessee fans, how could you not be elated about hiring Jim Knowles? The Tim Banks time at Tennessee, it got ugly. It was bad, especially last year. The secondary was horrible. I shouldn't say horrible. There were bright spots in it, but the secondary was not the standard that it should have been with the talent that they had. Just a lot of issues up there. It felt like there was way too much talent on that defense for them to be as bad as they were. So you move on from him. And again, it's a home run hire, in my opinion. You follow that up with getting a guy that has an immense amount of experience calling defensive plays in college football, has a long track record of this working and also like being able to build this thing up. So I think ultimately this will work out for them. It may not be this year where you see the direct results of Jim Knowles being the defensive coordinator at Tennessee, but I think down the road you're going to see the defensive side picking up, and that's great because we know how it works with offensively up there for Tennessee and Josh Heupel. If like things are usually working pretty well, unless you have a quarterback that's struggling like they did a couple of years ago. But I think when you get these young quarterbacks ready, when you finally get leveled over there defensively, you're probably not going to have to worry about that too much. So yeah, that was a great mention. Jim Knowles, certainly one of the better hires of this offseason. Moving on to the most questionable. We're going to start with Georgia Tech. We just talked about them. George Godsey, the new offensive coordinator over there, only have some questions about this one because, one, like I mentioned, it seemed like Chip Kelly was maybe an option, and I have no idea what that conversation was,
Yeah.
I have no idea if that was just a check-in, seeing how things were going. If it was an option, maybe it was never actually an option for him to be the offensive coordinator there, but hire within, and it's a guy that has 2 years of experience calling plays, and it was 2 years with the Houston Texans. Just don't know how that's going to work out.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth bringing it into question, but at the same point, I don't feel terrible about this. If I remember correctly, the Buster Faulkner hire was fairly late into the cycle of, hey, the names to get coordinators is not as bountiful as it was a few weeks ago, a few months ago. So I get it. I think that they did the right thing in kind of staying close and staying loyal to the Georgia Tech brand because this is a quarterback who played for Georgia Tech in the early 2000s. So I respect it. I think it is worth questioning, though. One I am absolutely just scratching my head at continuously is Chad Morris for Clemson. And we've dove into this before. We've kind of already had fun with this one, but I don't see how this pays off for Clemson. And I could be absolutely wrong. I could be misjudging Dabo Swinney 1,000%, but the lack of experience over the last few years calling plays combined with when he did call plays, it wasn't exactly the most fruitful. I don't think this is going to be the guy to turn around that Clemson offense, especially with the talent that's on that roster this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that's called plays at Clemson before with Dabo Swinney all the way back in 2011 and 2014. And then the last time he was listed as an offensive coordinator was in 2020 with the Auburn Tigers. There's just not a whole lot there.
And they were not good that year.
They were not good that year. So there's just not a huge track record of this one working out. So, I understand, like, you get put in this position. If you're Dabo Swinney, call up an old friend. We know how this business works. It's about who you know. So I get it from that standpoint. And maybe this isn't the year where you need the flashy offensive coordinator up there. Maybe this is just one of those filler years. I'll get somebody that I'm comfortable with, that I've worked with before, who I understand. I know what his MO is. He understands what we're trying to do over here, all those good things.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what it's going to look like at Clemson. We don't know what that offense is going to look like. But they got 5 quarterbacks apparently that can start for them this year. So off to a great start there if you're the Clemson Tigers. But certainly a bit of a head-scratcher. I threw this one in here. Not a coordinator, not a defensive coordinator, not an offensive coordinator, but going from Brian Hartline to Cortez Hankton, I just don't know.
Yeah, I think that this is also one we've discussed before of I don't really know where teams are seeing Cortez Hankton, think there's a ton of upside, and we don't need to bash on him too much, but I think it's certainly fair to say that going from Brian Hartline to this is a downgrade.
Yeah, and again, like, I know that people will tie certain players to Cortez Hankton, but from what we know about Cortez Hankton as the wide receivers coach at the University of Georgia and how things ended up over there at LSU, things don't seemingly get better over the years with him as a wide receivers coach. Like, this isn't a guy that kind of builds up the roster, then things are really good. I think most people would kind of argue that things deteriorate a little bit when he's the wide receivers coach. And I'm not trying to just crap on Cortez Hankton, but I do think Ohio State fans should maybe be prepared a little bit for it's not going to be the same as it was with Brian Hartline, and how could it be? But I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. And maybe it recruits itself out there. Like, maybe they have such a long line of history of producing wide receivers. But again, like, Brian Hartline had a lot to do with that. And when that name gets detached, we'll see. I mean, we saw it during signing day this past year. That
was damning.
Like, there were players that, like, Chris Henry ultimately stayed at Ohio State, but there was a lot of talk about he was going to leave. And I mean, like, just how the business went. So we'll see how that one works out, but just kind of putting some question marks beside that one.
Yeah, and this is a name that's going to go under the radar. I'm sure not even a lot of people have thought about it. I do want to kind of bring it into question. And look, I understand that this is not one of the, quote, haves in college football. Kansas State's hiring of Sean Gleason is a bit questionable to me. Sean Gleason is a guy who has been in a bunch of assistant roles, a bunch of position coaching roles over the last 4 years. The last time he called plays was in 2022, where he had a 3-year stint as the Rutgers offensive coordinator. Now, I understand that it's Rutgers. I understand that they don't have just dudes everywhere, but the 3 years he was the OC at Rutgers, I believe they finished 84th, 124th, and 120th in points per game. Again, I get that it's Rutgers, but it's not like you're looking at this. There's a lot of upside to this hire, in my opinion. So now, it is worth questioning.
And it's also worth mentioning, too, like, how involved is Colin Klein going to be?
Right.
Like, is he going to be the guy calling the shots?
Correct.
Is he going to be ultimately the offensive play caller? Because that's what he was doing at Texas A&M. So now that he's shifting over to Kansas State, we'll see what that looks like. So maybe this isn't a guy that's ultimately the primary play caller, or maybe he's still the play caller, but it's really Colin Klein's offense. I imagine that's what it's going to be. But, again, a guy, and maybe this is one where a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience, but we're going to gain experience by working with Klein, and then we eventually get to the point where we can turn it over to him, and I can take one less thing off my desk as a head coach as Colin Klein. But, yeah, certainly one of just, we'll see how that one works out. Another one that I don't want to throw up red flags. I don't want to say that this isn't going to work out or anything, but doesn't exactly fit the mold of what has been done up there over at Oregon. Drew Mehringer, the new offensive coordinator there, 3 years of experience as an OC, and it's in-house hire.
Look, I get it. I think the reason we're questioning this one is you went from Tosh Lupoy, Will Stein, both had great amounts of success, so much so that they've been kind of poached elsewhere and promoted because they've had so much success. I feel like to go higher within this round was a little bit just eyebrow raising. Now, again, this guy Mehringer has a lot of experience in the offensive coordinator position. There's a pedigree to be had there. It's not like he's just some scrub off the street that they picked up, but it is an interesting change in the process of Dan Lanning, at least.
Yeah, and again, like every hire that Dan has made out there in Oregon has been great. It's worked out for him, so it feels a little goofy to even say that this is a questionable one, but more so from the outside perspective of just one to really pay attention to, and also something to note, like a returning quarterback, so in Dante Moore, that's always a plus for the offense as well. And so I would imagine that played a role in that them staying in-house, like trying to keep things as similar as they were as in previous season of like, we got a returning quarterback, let's not change things up too much, hire in-house. I'm sure it'll work out. Now, this one is on the list for different reasons than all the others. Not necessarily a questionable hire, but questionable in the sense of now we're hiring this guy here now.
Yeah, no.
Bobby Petrino with the UNC Tar Heels.
Yeah, look, Bobby Petrino did a admirable job as Arkansas's interim head coach last year. Lord knows that team was not bad because of the offense. That offense was actually a lot of fun to watch at times. I think that based on everything that's gone on in the history of Bobby Petrino, that has to be acknowledged to some degree. With all of the stories and all of the headlines that are coming out of that UNC program right now, it's been quiet for the last few months.
It has. It's really died off.
To their credit, it's been very quiet, but with all of the stories that have been coming out, why would you even risk reigniting that with hiring a guy like Bobby Petrino? I mean, we all saw the memes when the news dropped of, Bobby Petrino and Bill Belichick, with their female counterparts. Like, I don't know why you would want that kind of heat on you if you're Bill Belichick. And by the way, the risk of if this doesn't pay off, it looks even worse for you. Now, it could be. There's a lot of upside. There's a lot to gain from hiring Bobby Petrino, but I don't know. I don't think it's the right move from a PR standpoint.
Now, they haven't been in the news as much, but we didn't talk about this on the show, but I'm going to bring it up now. There was an interesting tweet from one of their former players, Marquise Williams, tweeted that he would not be attending any North Carolina football games this upcoming year, basically boycotting them, and followed that up with saying, the things I'm hearing, man, I would have never thought. So not in the news as much as they were, not on TMZ and all that stuff, but seems like things probably aren't changing for the better, or I would say things aren't don't seem like they're heading in the right direction. Having an alumnus tweet something like that saying, I'm not going to any games based on what I'm hearing, it's a bit alarming. So I guess that kind of fits the Bobby Petrino hire, somewhat. All right, let's stick with coaches. Most to gain, most to lose this season. These are head coaches, by the way. I formed a list of most to gain. You formed a list of most to lose. So here's who I got on my list.
Yeah, we'll just run down each. You go most to gain first and the most to lose after.
James Franklin. Most to gain this year, I would say, because, I mean, with how things ended at Penn State, people think you're washed, not worth a dang, who would hire you, this, that, and the other. He says, I'm coming back somewhere and I'll win a national title there since I'm not wanted at Penn State anymore. Ultimately ends up at Virginia Tech, a program that has had success at times. It's proven that they can be successful. If he turns that program around and he's competitive again up there and they're in contention in the ACC conference, there's a lot to gain for James Franklin again of like, oh, maybe we wrote this guy off way too early. Now, I know he was at Penn State for a long time, so I'm not saying that Penn State was premature in the firing. I think that was rightfully so. I think that was the right decision to move on from him. But as far as his career as a head coach in college football, there's still a lot to gain for him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can re-cement yourself as a top 10 coach in the sport right now because you went tumbling down that after what happened last season. I don't know if national championship is in the cards for James Franklin this year. If he does win that, that'd be huge for him. But at the very least, you can have people saying, you know what, James Franklin is a top 10 head coach. Look at what he's doing at Virginia Tech. So I wholeheartedly agree with that one.
All right, next up on the list, I got Dabo Swinney. Now, this might sound weird because we've been pretty down on Clemson, especially heading into this next season. But with how down we are and how everybody seems to think that Clemson is just going to fall off a cliff, how they're just taking step backs every single year. If Dabo Swinney takes this roster and somehow manages to get 9 wins or be one of those programs that's relevant throughout the entire season, I would say there's some stuff to gain still from Dabo Swinney, despite like how long he has been good and how for a long time he was considered one of the best coaches in the sport. Still something to gain, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the way that everyone kind of perceives the Clemson program and Dabo Swinney is kind of circling the drain. To pull yourself out and have another 8-win, 9-win, maybe even 10-win season, be competitive in the SEC, all of that, I don't know if that would be enough to say that he's back to being a top 5 head coach. However, it would certainly put him back in good graces. I don't know if it's as much to gain, though, because his ceiling was, this is one of the best coaches in college football. I don't think he's ever going to get back
maybe
to
just a PR gain of like maybe people quit making fun of Dabo Swinney. He gets back to being a respectable head coach. Maybe that's the level I'm talking about. Kyle Whittingham, this is just purely based on the fact of, hey, we were really successful at Utah. Can we do it at a national brand like Michigan? And can we clean up everything up there? Like, can we quit having off-the-field stuff occurring? Can we just be a respectable program in general? There's a lot to gain there for him. Steve Sarkisian, for obvious reasons. Big year for him.
Yeah, I think Steve Sarkisian is the perfect example of someone who belongs on both lists.
Oh, 100%.
Obviously, Steve Sarkisian, if you win a national title this year, everything will be validated. All of your processes will be validated. But if you pop another 9-3, if you don't make the playoffs, if you're a one and done in the college football playoff, like, there is a lot to lose here. People were viewing Steve Sarkisian as one of the best minds in college football. If that doesn't happen, he'll be a massive disappointment.
And that's what I was going to say is like the margins between deeming this the biggest the biggest gaining season for Steve Sarkisian and the biggest losing season for him. The margins are very thin. Like what you have to do to be considered as this was a massive game for Steve Sarkisian is play for a national title. Where you just mentioned it, maybe what people would deem as the biggest losing season for Steve Sarkisian is, you made the playoffs, but you lost in the first round. So the margins are super thin for it to go either way for him.
Yeah, so he's definitely on my biggest to lose as well.
2 other names I got. Brent Key, really successful with Buster Faulkner. Big transition year for him, the biggest of his head coaching career thus far at Georgia Tech. If we can continue to have success despite all of these changes and kind of reworking this team back up again, that's a huge thing for him. I think that really cements him as this guy is one of the best coaches, I would say, in college football. It wasn't just, hey, Buster Faulkner merchant.
Yeah, that's what I say. I don't have him on my list of a lot to lose, but I do think there is an avenue to where if Georgia Tech isn't as good as they were the last few seasons, people do start labeling him as that. So I think Brent Key also is a guy who has a lot to lose this season. Has a ton to gain for sure, but also worth noting some to lose there.
Yeah. Final name on my list, it's an obvious one. Dan Lanning, you won a national title. I mean, people are saying you're top 3 best coaches in the sport. Who you knock out, that's debatable, whatever. But there's a whole lot to gain for Dan Lanning this upcoming season.
Yeah, it feels like Dan Lanning's kind of hit a glass ceiling of you're one of the best coaches in the sport. Everyone respects you, but you're not the best yet because you can't get over that hump. Kind of where Kirby Smart was for a while, kind of where, Ryan Day was for a while of you're getting everyone to the top of the hill, but you can't get over it. So, for sure, Dan Lanning has a lot to gain. My coaches with the most to lose. Number 1, Curt Cignetti. It doesn't get much better than where you are right now if you're Curt Cignetti. Everyone's ranking you as the number 1 coach in college football. People say that what you've done is the most unprecedented thing in sports, which honestly is fair to say. I don't see an avenue where you get that much better in a PR standpoint or how you're viewed as a head coach. I can see an avenue to where if Indiana goes 8-4 or 9-3 or has an unimpressive year, everyone's going to look at Curt Cignetti and go, yeah, 2025 was incredible, but it might have been a fluke, and he might not actually be the best coach in college football. So I think he has a lot to lose. I think another guy similar on this list is Kirby Smart. If it's not Curt Cignetti that's the number 1 coach, it's Kirby Smart. But Kirby Smart hasn't won a college football playoff game in 3 seasons. If you go 4 seasons without doing that and you're not seriously competing for a national title at the end of the year, I think people are going to start looking at Kirby Smart and say, he had a really great moment, but it's kind of the sport's kind of passing him by, and you're going to start getting more and more Dabo Swinney comparisons. So he's got a lot to lose, in my opinion. Another coach who I don't think is on people's radar who has a lot of opportunities to lose, Mario Cristobal. I think there is a world where Miami has another 10-2 season where they have more disappointing losses and they miss the college football playoff again. I think people forget that there was a very, very valid debate between whether Miami or Notre Dame should get in, to the point where a lot of people thought Notre Dame would get the spot. If that changes, if Notre Dame got that college football playoff spot, the perception of Mario Cristobal as a head coach is very, very different. I think
100%.
If you get that this season, people are going to kind of look at it and go, well, he got lucky in 2025. And yeah, those games he played in the playoff were great, but he's still the same old coach. He still loses to teams that he shouldn't. He still, underperforms in big moments. So I think Mario Cristobal is another guy who has a lot to lose. This is my number 1 biggest, without a doubt, the most to lose. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin went scorched earth on 2 SEC fan bases now. Is easily the most hated coach in the sport. Not a very likable figure right now, but the perception is that he's going to come into the LSU Tigers and he's going to make that a winning football program. Now, obviously, it's going to be year 1. There's going to be growing pains no matter what program you're at. But if things are unimpressive at LSU, if they aren't at least a momentum-building team this year, Lane Kiffin is going to have a lot of PR recovery to do.
He already has a lot of PR recovery
For sure.
to do, in my opinion. I mean, I know we didn't talk about it, but the tweet he fired off the other day where he's with the Cavender twins and he captions it, beat them like we did back in 2024. Like, grown-ass man, by the way, tweeting at I know that Carson Beck is also a grown man, but like, really? And I don't know what the beef is between those two, but do you remember Lane Kiffin also making the comment of when he found out how much Miami paid for Carson Beck? And he's like, did he see how he played against us the previous year? Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know what the beef is there. Clearly, something is there, but like taking shots at players, like really, that's what we're doing. Like, I just don't get it, man.
Also,
it's so distasteful.
What does he mean by we beat Carson Beck in 2024?
I don't know.
Not going to get into that one. But no, Lane Kiffin has a lot to lose this season, I think, because if it's not a smashing success at LSU, people are going to you're going to be the butt of the joke. The other 2 that I have, Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day kind of reached a mountaintop and shut up a lot of doubters for what he did in the 2024 season of finally finding a way to win that national championship. 2025 was obviously a massive disappointment. If you follow that up with another disappointment, I think Ohio State fans are going to very quickly come back to this guy's not the answer. He's not good enough to get us over the hill. We've wasted all this talent, all this so-and-so, and that will kind of change perception. I don't think he has the most to lose out of people in this list, but there's certainly more to lose than gain for Ryan Day coming into 2026. And then my final answer, Clark Lee. Clark Lee has done a phenomenal job of building himself up and building his brand up over the past, 2 or 3 seasons with what he's done with Diego Pavia. if Vanderbilt reverts to what Vanderbilt was for the decade beforehand, I think Clark Lee's there's going to be a lot of damage done to the perception of Clark Lee. Because right now it's, hey, he built Vanderbilt into a 10-2 program. Vanderbilt's a top 25 team now. If this happens and Diego Pavia and all these talent leaves and it goes back to 6-6, it's going to be solely about how Diego Pavia built that program, not Clark Lee. So he has a lot to lose this season. So that's all I have for that list.
Solid list. All right, before we get to local hour, go ahead, merchant it up. Clip farm, all that good rage bait, whatever you want to call it.
I'm not a merchant. I'm not a clip farmer. I'm going to zoom this out.
All right, what's the top 5 of the week, Kirby? Let's hear it.
The top 5 of the week. Well, in case you didn't know, today is St. Patrick's Day.
It is. I've got my green on.
It's a very I wasn't going to pinch you anyways. Don't worry, dude.
Please don't.
It's a very celebrated holiday in America. So I figured, what better way to celebrate holidays than to make a list? So this week's top 5 is holidays, American holidays to be exact. Now, before we start this list, I want to note that I am omitting religious aspects from these holidays because that's not what we're doing this for. This is simply the American holiday, how the public views these. So, coming in at number 5, we have Halloween. Solid holiday. I think this is more for the kids and for college students.
Yeah.
By the time you get to our age, parents' age, it's not as exciting anymore. So still a fun time, but not the best.
I was going to say, this one really depends on like the time of life that you're in. Like as a kid, it's awesome. You're getting free candy. You get to dress up as your favorite characters, all that good stuff. I'd imagine as a parent, it's also kind of really cool again because you get to see your kids be excited. Like I bet that's cool. But for this stage of life that we're in, it's just kind of like, whatever, dude. Like, whatever. It's okay. I don't really care that much about it.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to number 4, we have New Year's Eve. I like New Year's Eve. I think that some people, it deserves a shout-out. I haven't had, been able to experience the fun of New Year's Eve for the last, 2 or 3 years because we're always working at this time because it's college football playoff time. But even in college and even that, it felt like New Year's Eve was more just one night. Yeah. It was more one, like it wasn't a season. There wasn't, New Year's Eve decorations are out. It's more just, hey, I'm going to be really hungover tomorrow, but I'm going to have fun tonight. It feels like it's not as much of a holiday. I understand it, though. The celebrations, celebrating a new year, being around with your friends and family, the ones you love, certainly deserves a shout-out, but I don't think it's the best holiday. Moving on to, or do you have anything to add to
No
that?
thoughts there, really. Like, I always just associate New Year's Eve with college football games. That's, like, what I look forward to most, really.
Yeah, which, again, not unique to New Year's Eve. Number 3, the 4th of July.
Ooh, kind of low.
Controversial take.
Kind of low.
Get it. I love the 4th of July as well. I think it's a fantastic time of year. Hot dog competition, one of my favorite sports spectacles in the world.
Really?
Got to meet Joey Chestnut twice, dude.
I think it's disgusting. I can't watch it.
See, that's not American.
It's not. Look, I just think it's gross. Okay, like the whole dipping it in water and I just can't do it. That's just me. But hey, I love a good hot dog on the 4th of July. I love the 4th of July in general.
I love the 4th of July, but it doesn't hold a candle to these next ones.
Okay.
Number 2, Thanksgiving. Hard to beat Thanksgiving. Good football on. You're with family. Fantastic food. One of the most legendary feasts you'll have all year. It's the perfect lead up, in my opinion, to the holiday season. And by the way, that first weekend of it where it's Black Friday afterwards and you're spending time with, hometown friends and things like that, very special to me. So Thanksgiving is my number 2.
I do love Thanksgiving.
It's a solid holiday. Now, before we get to number 1, we will do our 2 honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1, Easter. Deserves a shout out. Beautiful spring colors. Probably the most aesthetically pleasing holiday on this list. Love doing Easter egg hunts and stuff like that, around as a child, but I don't think it's the most exciting holiday. I don't think anyone's out here trying to argue that Easter should be your favorite holiday.
So were you a family that did like huge Easter baskets when you were kids for Easter?
Yeah, so we would do like nice little Easter baskets of like you got some gifts and things. Then we'd like have a scavenger hunt around the house where like our parents would like write clues, or the Easter bunny would write clues on the eggs, and then you'd have to go find your next present. It'd be cool things like you get a DVD or a video game or something like that.
I know some people do like huge extravagant gifts, like it's almost like Christmas 2.0 at times, I would say, for some families.
That's a little much.
For me, it's like, hey, my mom got me, or my parents got me some candy, maybe got like a new video game or a new jersey or something like that. But some people, I've seen the Easter baskets, I'm like, holy crap.
No, the Kirby family kept it fairly modest around Easter.
Okay.
Moving on to honorable mention number 2 and the final one before we reveal our number 1 answer. St. Paddy's Day, today's holiday. I enjoy this holiday. I think the green is aesthetically pleasing, but at the same point, like, it's just an excuse to really drink a lot. And there's a lot of crowds and all those things. Like, it's fun. I appreciate it. I've had some really crazy St. Patrick's Days, but I don't think it's my favorite.
Yeah, just a nothing day for me, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
And just being honest, like, it's just another day for me. Like, I'll participate. I'll wear the green, but it's not one I'm like, ooh, St. Patrick's Day's coming up.
Well, it's part of – oh, shoot, Dad's in the chat and talking about the scavenger hunt. Part of my heritage, so I got to respect it. And the number 1 holiday, at this point, it's pretty easy to guess. It's Christmas.
Okay.
There's no way you can deny that Christmas is the best American holiday. If you're not celebrating Christmas, if you're one of those people, I feel very sorry for you. It's my favorite time of year. Friends, family, season of giving, all of that, the Christmas music, Christmas movies, legendary, best American holiday. So that is this week's top 5.
You know, I think this was a good idea for you last week. I know it got a bit controversial. Some people were saying that the Kirby top 5 may be overrated, maybe outdated, maybe it's past its time already, even though we've only had a few renditions of it. So why not just do something nice and simple of holidays where you can't get number 1 wrong? Like, Christmas is the best.
No, like
Christmas,
that was
like the whole time of the year, the whole month of December leading up to it, Christmas lights, Christmas movies, all the good stuff. You just love it. Like, the only controversial thing about that, what I would say, is like some people probably put 4th of July a little higher. They probably put them at number 2. Thanksgiving maybe a little behind that. I would say the only reason maybe why you're not very high on Thanksgiving is, 1, you don't like your family.
Yeah.
2, your family can't cook. Like, those 2 things. Like, if
Yeah.
you don't look forward to Thanksgiving, those are the 2 reasons why probably.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very, very fair take. I think it's hard to argue that Christmas is number 1, and, you know, St. Patrick's Day, probably not near top 3. I think I nailed the top 3. If you want to argue 2 through 3, whatever. But I'm proud of that
Very
list.
solid list.
I'm proud of every list I make, and none of them are rage bait.
Well, I think that was a very fitting way to end the show right now. We'll see you on the other side. We're about to talk that dog. We got Kirby Smart, presser notes. Spring football is here in Athens, Georgia.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
If you work in retail, it's still the greatest holiday.
I don't know, dude. I could see being in retail during the month of Christmas, like hearing Christmas music nonstop. Like, I have a buddy of mine who worked in retail for a large portion of his life, and you know, I was talking to last Christmas. It was like the first beginning of December where Christmas music is popping, and you're super excited to be able to get to listen to Christmas music again. And I was like, man, there's no better feeling than getting to listen to Christmas music again. Like, it's that time of year. And my friend was like, no, I hate it. I can't listen to it because for 5 years of my life, I listened to it nonstop at work. And I can only imagine the madness at the store, wherever you work. But
now, good thing is Christmas music retail stores typically aren't playing the good stuff.
Sure.
So at that least, like, it's like a lot of like pop music. Kelly Clarkson singing Christmas songs is like,
all right,
miss me with that.
But yeah, miss
Give
me
me
with
some
that.
Bing Crosby and all that.
But yeah, chat, you're right. You get the whole hour tonight. We didn't shortchange you at all. We didn't shortchange you yesterday, though. We went over to make sure that you guys got your full hour of Talking That Dog. And tonight is a very special episode of Talk That Dog, Christian, because football's back.
Oh, man.
Spring football's here at the University of Georgia. We got to go, or you went to a Kirby Smart press conference. That's when you know it is legit. We have finally arrived. We got to talk some ball, listen to the head man talk some ball. So we're going to be doing that, bringing you notes from there. We also get to talk some pro day. That is tomorrow. Georgia players that are draft eligible, that are heading to the NFL here in a month. We're going to be getting one final look at them in some Georgia gear before they head off to their new teams. We're going to talk about that, maybe some things that we're going to be keeping an eye on. And then 2 other topics that we didn't get to yesterday that we're hoping to get to of create a Georgia team by room from every single year that Kirby Smart was a head coach. And then you also had another topic about running backs to come close to 1,000 yards. And then we also had our Discord line up some lovely questions for us to answer as this is the final show of the week. So we got some Discord Q&A.
Yeah, appetizer week is here. That's what I'm calling spring practice from now on. It's appetizer week. Because this is the equivalent of you get an appetizer and it's delicious and it's, oh my gosh, I can't wait to eat. And then you have to wait another hour for your main course to come out.
Well,
That's what spring practice is.
Well, tell us the lovely things that Kirby Smart had to talk about his football program.
Coach Smart was back in action today for his first presser of the 2026 college football season. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint. It was a Kirby Smart press conference. Opened things up with a shout-out to the women's track team, which, by the way, we failed to do last night. We did not shout them out for winning back-to-back national championships. I believe it was the indoor national championship for them. So shout-out to the ladies for running fast, jumping high, and doing all those good things that come with track. Initial thing he got right off the bat, injuries. Now, this is probably the most important part of the presser, so pay attention. All of the players I will list below are going to miss spring or will probably miss the majority of time spring. Drew Bobo obviously suffered that ankle injury versus Georgia Tech, still nursing that. I think people forget that's only 3 to 4 months ago. Yeah. And by the way, you don't need a guy like Drew Bobo taking one's reps right now. You need Malachi Tolliver to get as many reps with Gunnar Stockton
anybody at the center position, they need reps, not Drew.
So, understandable there. Jordan Hall also suffered a lower body injury during the last season. He will not be available for this spring practice. Gabe Harris obviously had turf toe surgery ahead of the Sugar Bowl with Ole Miss. He will not be available this spring. Once again, probably better that you're letting other guys get reps 100% right now. Kyron Jones, who had the lower body injury, the ankle injury, I believe what it was, or a foot injury, he is still dealing with that. He is unable to go this spring practice. Carter Lucky, an incoming freshman, had a knee injury his senior year of high school. He received surgery on that. He is unavailable for this spring. And then finally, Zayden Walker, and this is the one where kind of people with ears perked up and raised red flags, had labrum surgery. Now, let this be the annual reminder that we have to do every year. Labrum surgery is not the end of the world. Labrum surgery happens almost all the time in football and is typically done in spring for players that miss it. Brock Bowers missed time with labrum surgery. I believe Amarius Mims missed time with labrum surgery. I know Monroe Freeling missed time last year with labrum surgery. All of those players were obviously 100% by the time fall came around. Yeah. I understand that Zayden Walker is a guy that could benefit greatly from having some reps. He is a young player. He did not get a lot of action last season. However, I don't think this is going to be one of these things where it's, oh, God, he's injured. We got all these players. Yeah. So that is the injury updates from Kirby Smart. The first question he was asked is, what can Gunnar Stockton do better as a quarterback? First thing Kirby Smart noted, the offense as a whole needs to be more explosive. He said that when you're more explosive, they're going to be able to be a better offense because of how you move the ball down the field. I think that's kind of the criticism we as a show had with this team of, yeah, they're really efficient with the football, but when they need to be explosive, they struggled to do that at times last year. So Kirby Smart knows that he's being addressed right now. He's kind of asked about just thoughts on the transfer portal, thoughts on their haul, and he gave some quotes on that. But the quote that I took away from it, that I thought was really well, is independent contractors don't play well together. Calling transfer portal players independent contractors is kind of funny because that is essentially what they are.
Yeah.
You are a hired gun to, hey, come play wide receiver for us. Don't come be a team member. Come play wide receiver for us. So stuff like that. This was an interesting answer to the question. He was asked about, hey, is there any room right now that you're happy with the depth? Are you satisfied with where this is? They gave a very stern answer. The answer to this will always be no. Classic. Give you the one sentence. That's it.
Never loses his fastball.
No, never. The G-Day format was brought up as well by him. Kind of alluded to the fact that it's going to be very similar to previous years in the format sense. So as long as, we have the guys to do so and we're not too injured, there will be a G-Day. So expect a full contact scrimmage like we've seen years before. He did not say, however, if it would be nationally televised or not. So
I doubt it will be.
I think that's still up in the air. If you want my prediction for that, it's probably going to be aired live only to Glory members. That's my prediction. I think that would be a way they take advantage of increasing the subscriber count. Speaking of, the moment that went
And if
viral,
they haven't thought of that, there you go. That's what you need to be doing, honestly. If you're a business and you haven't thought about doing that, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, hey, You're welcome, guys. I just helped you get many more subscribers. Speaking of glory subscribers, the moment that went viral today, obviously, the final question of Kirby Smart's presser was, hey, Coach, we see the equipment staff's social media. We see all these recruiting photos of these alternate jerseys, white helmets, things such as that. Do you have any plans to wear them in the future? And Kirby Smart gave the most Kirby Smart thing in general of first declaring that, everyone thinks I hate these jerseys because we don't wear them and I hate this uniform combination. That's never what it's been. I'm about caring about the players that are on the field and how they play. Jerseys don't. Gave the classic coach answer and then said, but I'm so sick and tired of hearing about these and players telling me that they want to wear them. So he gave a call to action. If the Georgia Bulldogs fan base can triple the subscriber account for the Glory Collective, he said, quote, we will wear the shit. Kirby Smart quote. They actually had to cut it out of the Georgia presser on YouTube because he did say that. It's all over the internet, though. You can see it if you need to. He dropped an S-bomb on a team presser.
We'll find out if Kirby Smart is really serious about this, is really okay with wearing alternate uniforms, because if he gives okay for Glory to be live streaming the G-Day, then I'm sure that would triple the subscriber count easily before G-Day technically, because you got to have the subscription beforehand to get the full stream. So I'm sure that would easily draw in, people would happily pay $20 for the stream, I'm sure, to watch some Georgia football in the middle of the desert, as we like to call it around here, in the offseason of college football. So if that gets approved, then he really is okay with it. But if not, maybe he's like, don't do that. We don't actually want to meet the goal.
Yeah. I think Kirby Smart is also the first head coach in college football history to put jerseys behind a paywall.
Bring me my money.
That's essentially what it is. You want to see these jerseys? You got to fork over some cash. So if you are one of these fans that is dead set on we have to wear these jerseys at some point this season, whether it's in G-Day or the regular season, who knows, go and subscribe to Glory, triple that subscriber count. I don't know how many subscribers they have right now, so I don't know what the number is that you have to triple. If it's 100,000, that's a tough ask already, but we'll see.
Sure. And I do think it's interesting that he said before G-Day, because what if he just did it for the spring game? Would people just be okay with that? We'll ask chat tonight. If it was just G-Day where you got the all-white uniforms and you got the black uniforms, would that be enough for you guys? Or do you actually want to see this on game day? That's what I want to know, because I could see this being of oh, good, you guys tripled the subscriber account. All right, we're wearing all-white uniforms at G-Day.
I can tell you the answer right now. They want to see that in regular season games.
Sure.
Because Kirby Smart gave this answer. It was during a question earlier in the regular season 2025 of, hey, why don't you wear the black jerseys more, Coach? He said, we do. We wear them during G-Day. Is that not enough for you all?
We do it every year.
So it's very clearly not enough for the fans, so I understand it. So if they were to wear white helmets and all-white jerseys in spring game, fans would say, why aren't these in the real game? So Next player, we got player availabilities as well. We got 3 players today. Gunnar Stockton, quarterback of the Georgia Bulldogs, in case you didn't know, was asked a handful of questions. First thing he was asked about, hey, Gunnar, how did you attack the offseason? What did you do to get better? His answer was, it felt really nice to relax for a week. Got to just have some time to myself, not worry about football. And, then after that, you start hitting the weights pretty hard and training and all those things. But he made a very important note to say that he has done lots of hunting and fishing this offseason, or at least some. I don't think lots. I don't want to, make it seem like he's up in a deer blind the entire offseason, but he has done his hunting and fishing for the offseason. Next one was, what are his impressions of Isaiah Canyon, the transfer wide receiver from Georgia Tech? Said that he's big and fast, has made some incredible plays so far. He has, quote, the perfect body for a wide receiver. A little sus, but,
Hey, peeping game. Always peeping game.
Got a peep game. He revealed that he's cousins with Dallas Dickerson.
Huh.
So that was an interesting.
If you don't know who Dallas Dickerson is, this is a late addition to the 2026 recruiting class for Georgia. I think he was committed to Kentucky, decommitted from Kentucky out of North Oconee High School, now and is now at the University of Georgia. Would not have tied those two together. So very interesting.
Yeah. Next question he was asked was, of course, about, meeting Donald Trump and the controversies that came with that, and kind of was asked to just explain how that came about. And in a classic Gunnar Stockton answer, just gave it was really crazy, really cool to get to meet the President of the United States, and made it clear that he said, hey, look, I don't know what anyone's stance on things are, but I would be willing to meet any president. So kind of a statement of this was more about meeting the office and meeting the title than it was meeting Donald Trump. Now, obviously, the storylines are going to be what the storylines are for that. But I think that Gunnar Stockton was just genuinely excited to meet the president of the United States. He was asked about, hey, have you had a time now since coming into this previous season? You only had a game and a half of tape on your resume. Now you have a full season. What's it been like to go back and watch some things you've done? And he says, I go back and I watch some things that are pretty good and help me, reaffirm what I do. But other times I look back and go, God, what was I thinking? Which is honestly encouraging, in my opinion, when you have those moments to say, man, I absolutely screwed the pooch on this because I can be a better player. So you would have to assume he's going to be a more buttoned and polished quarterback next season just based on what he's learning in tape and what he's seeing himself do.
We love to hear that.
Exactly. And then the final thing of note that I took away from this was what has kind of the attitude around losing the Sugar Bowl again. Obviously, Georgia lost the Sugar Bowl 2 years in a row now. It's the first college football playoff game they appeared in. He said it's definitely left a bad taste in people's mouths around here, and they've got to get back to work on it immediately. Like the loss is not setting well with this team right now. So that is what we got from Gunnar Stockton. The next player we got was Raylan Wilson. First question Raylan was asked was, hey, what made you come back? He said he had goals that he wanted to accomplish. One of those was winning a national championship, which he has not done yet. He was asked about what life is like without C.J. Allen. Says more communication is required now. Obviously, C.J. Allen was kind of the veteran of that group, had been starting since his freshman year. Now, Raylan is kind of the elder statesman in that linebacker room. Says that you have to no longer worry about yourself. You also have to worry about helping the others around you excel. So that was kind of interesting perspective from a leadership standpoint. His thoughts on the young players is they're really smart. They work hard. Haven't been able to see them in pads, though, so that obviously changed today when they got out on the field for spring practice, so we'll see what his thoughts are later. Next was, are there any young guys that stand out to you? And I think this is the one that I took away most. Tried to do the classic, all the young guys are great. All the young guys are working really hard, but he made an absolute point to say Zyke Helton is going to be someone who's really good. Zyke Helton, in case you didn't know, is a my guy that we drafted in the signing day last year. So he said that he communicates very well for an offensive lineman at that age. So very promising stuff from Zyke Helton. And the third and final player we got for availability was Lawson Lucky. He was also asked, hey, what made you come back? You obviously could have entered the NFL draft this year. His answer was a little different. He said, it honestly just made the most sense based on the circumstances and based on the pedigree that you look at with guys that do stay a fourth year. He said that playing with Carter, his brother, is a bonus, obviously, being able to stay. Carter's a freshman in this year's roster, but it was more about the circumstances. It made more sense. Was asked about what his physical goals were this offseason. Said he wanted to put on some weight, and he succeeded to do so. I don't think he disclosed how much weight he had put on, but he definitely looks thicker. Was asked how
you were peeping game. You were giving Gunnar crap for peeking game.
By the way, I'll go ahead and also out myself. Kirby Smart has been skipping leg day.
You were peeping all kinds of games in the press conference.
The jeans are starting to sag, Coach. Nah, he wasn't wearing jeans. He was wearing slacks.
I was about to say, I don't think I've ever seen Kirby wear jeans.
Nah, the slacks are not as tight as they
slacks were slacking.
The slacks are slacking, and not in the good way where it's like, oh, he's lost weight. It's like
we just ain't been in the lab.
Yeah, he ain't been in the lab. We got to get Kirby back on a workout regimen. Anywho, next thing we was asked about was how Gunnar Stockton has changed. Obviously, these two have been very close throughout their careers. He's way more confident, which was kind of interesting to take away from because I don't think Gunnar Stockton has ever been labeled as someone who needs to gain confidence in himself. I mean, you come into the SEC championship game and win that. Obviously, what he did with Texas, your first career start as a college football playoff game, and you played valiantly in a losing effort. Confidence has never been something I feel like Gunnar Stockton's lacked, but to say that a player who's known him as long as he has is even noticing more confidence from him, kind of noticeable. Was then asked how Ryan Paglesi has changed. So that he has had a heavy emphasis on leadership this year. He's made a much bigger effort to connect with players and to kind of view himself as a leader in that regard. Obviously, it's the Gunnar Stockton show right now, but I think Ryan Paglesi is setting himself up for the transition of going from backup to starter will be seamless. Next thing was asked about was what's it like getting to know these new faces on the roster? Obviously, they've had a lot of departures, have to have a lot of additions. So basically, just you have to go out and talk to people. You have to go out of your way. Kirby Smart said that if you see someone you don't know, go up and shake their hand, introduce yourself. So kind of a don't be a stranger thing around this program is something you have to do now with how much overturns in college football. And then the last thing that we had today, he was asked about what advice would you give your brother Carter, and said basically spend time building bonds and making friends in college. Enjoy the dorm rooms. Don't necessarily be ready to go back and go to sleep and go to homework and all those things. And, don't go downtown because you're not old enough yet.
He said that.
No, he did not.
He advocated that in the press conference.
That's my advice to Carter Lucky is they definitely care about your age downtown, and all fake IDs get taken. Every single one of them.
Respect the law.
That's right.
Mr. Lucky. That'd be our advice to you. I know that chat's sitting on as well. I know that one thing also, this was probably music to fans' ears because this is something that we've been talking about. Everybody's been talking about it. The two things that they would like to see Georgia get better at on offense and defense: be more explosive on offense. Kirby Smart hit on that. Be more disruptive on defense. Talked about that as well. That's music to your ears if you're a fan of, hey, these are the areas where we need to get better. Kirby Smart himself said it. Those are the areas that we're trying to get better as well. So all around, good opening press conference. I'm glad that you were able to be in attendance for that. Just good for football to be back in Athens.
Man, it felt very nice to sit in that environment and be around some of the people who I haven't seen since January. Got to see Ben Wolk, catch up with my man Ben Wolk and all those fun things. And,
we love that.
Tell stories about what we've been up to the last 2 or 3 months of our lives and, crack jokes at the expense of other people. So, yeah, dude, me and Ben Wolk just sit in the back of the room and, nah, I'm just kidding.
Not doing your job, just there for the expense of
I didn't
laughter.
even bring my laptop, actually. I just was sitting there chilling.
Lovely. So tomorrow is Pro Day. You will be in attendance for Pro Day, your first Pro Day, correct?
Yes, I will. This will be my first.
I had the opportunity to go last year. Always a really good experience. Always good to be back. And one of the few times that we get to be in the facility. You get to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. It's not practice, but it's still being at Georgia on a football field, watching players go through drills. And, again, it's always great to see and talk to the players that are about to officially leave Athens for the very last time, or as a player, I should say, before they join a new team. They'll be back eventually, I would assume. But a few things that we're watching for. I know the one thing that everybody likes to watch for Pro Day is who's going to be throwing, who's going to be the quarterback. Georgia does not have a quarterback in this draft class. The last 2 years, it's been Gunnar Stockton. Will it be Ryan Paglesi this year? That's the big question. I'm sure everybody's itching to see Ryan. I'm sure the NFL teams would love to see Ryan Paglesi as well. I would imagine maybe it's his turn to kind of do that this year, but we'll see. Maybe it's Gunnar Stockton again. Supposedly, they say
yes,
it all has to do with the class schedule. I don't know about all that, but apparently that's what it really depends on.
And I mean, it does make sense that we got to follow the class guidelines, but also you know what? I'm not even going to bother trying to save face here. These boys ain't going to class every day. Let's be honest.
No,
if the Georgia Bulldogs quarterback came up to one of their professors and was like, "Hey, Professor so-and-so, I have pro day today where I'm going to throw footballs in front of hundreds of NFL scouts. I can't be here." They're probably going to be like, "That's all right. You can do that."
Yeah.
They've skipped for less. So this idea that, we couldn't get Gunnar out because he had class.
It'd be the equivalent of a student going up to their professor and saying, "Hey, I won't be here for class on Wednesday because I have an interview for a job that could be massive for me. This is the biggest interview I've ever had. This would be the best job for me." That's essentially what you would be asking for as a college athlete of, "Hey, I could go do this pseudo tryout for all these NFL teams." It's like if they wanted to, they could certainly make it happen. But I understand, hey, got to go to class, got to make sure you check the attendance box. They don't play around with that type of stuff. Got to make sure your grade is in check. Can't miss those days. So we'll see who's there. Big day for a lot of players that did not get invited to the NFL Combine as well.
Yeah, C.J. Allen and Kristen Miller are two guys I think everyone was kind of hoping to see at the Combine, opted not to go. Now, we could see, what Jalen Walker did last year was like, "Don't worry, I'll see you at the Combine."
Good, fam.
And then the Combine or Pro Day comes, and it's like, my leg kind of tight today. I don't think I'll be running anything.
Dang.
But now, I think Jalen Walker at that point was kind of cemented as probably a first-round pick. C.J. Allen and Christian Miller, I don't know if necessarily their draft spots are cemented.
The only person who I can almost guarantee without a doubt won't be doing anything tomorrow, Monroe Freeling.
Doesn't need to. Yeah.
Like, that guy is, at this point now, he is a first-round draft pick. Some are even saying, like, a lock for top 10 probably. Borderline top 5. Like, I would imagine Monroe Freeling. Now, Monroe Freeling also one of these guys, though, that just loves football. So maybe he loves it enough where he's like, one last time, I'm going to go give it my all.
I don't know. I think at this point you got a lot of agents whispering in your ears of,
his agent is like, hell no.
You know how much money you just made doing that?
Yeah. Go out there, shake some hands, talk to some people, all that good stuff, show face, but probably not going to be doing anything tomorrow.
I think some other guys that are worth noting that have big opportunities ahead of them. Biggest opportunity, in my opinion, is Noah Thomas.
For sure.
I think Noah Thomas is going to be the guy that can do himself the most favors at Pro Day tomorrow. Kind of snubbed from the combine, kind of someone who has a really good build, has really good athleticism, is kind of what you would want in an NFL receiver, especially at the X position. Didn't get an invite. I think he will have an opportunity to wow a lot of scouts and showcase his abilities. Ja'Cory Thomas, Cass Jones, Josh McCray, all guys that will also have an opportunity to showcase their skills and kind of earn a draft spot. So,
yeah, big opportunities for those guys. Also interesting, too, Georgia always has a couple of players that they invite from other teams to come to their pro day. There was a couple last year. I can't exactly remember who it was, but always worth noting of that. You'll see that. You'll get a little roster sheet that tells you everybody that's participating. But big opportunity for, like, Dan Jackson was one of these last year where he didn't get an NFL Combine invite last year, but he went and did everything at Georgia's pro day, and it was a huge day for him.
Do you think Oscar Delp is going to, like, a stress hairline fracture in your foot doesn't heal in 3 weeks?
I would imagine that he's going to, because he wanted to at the Combine, and the NFL Combine said can't do that for liability reasons. There's no liability at Georgia's pro day, I don't think, other than people in his camp saying, hey, probably should, probably shouldn't. If Oscar Delp wants to run, I would imagine he's going to run, and, I hope he does. I hope he gets to do everything that he can to improve his draft stock, because I would have liked to have seen him at the NFL Combine, but I think that it would be good for him to just give one last look of, like, this is everything that I can do, this is how athletic I am, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so, if that's the case, then he is also another player who has a massive opportunity tomorrow morning.
So it'll be a good event. I'm looking forward, or I'm glad that you get to go. We'll have somebody.
Did you see how many people the Falcons are sending this thing?
Yeah, my Atlanta Falcons sending 30-plus representatives to Georgia's pro day.
Like,
a bit overkill, maybe.
There's only going to be 7 or 8 guys moving around at a time at most. I don't think we need 30 eyeballs on these.
And and you'll notice this as well. Like, now I know that they'll have access to areas that the media won't, obviously, but there's not a whole lot of space to pack 30 people to go and watch this event. Like, it's basically just the borderlines of the field. That's it, basically. So interested to see if there truly is 30-plus people from the Falcons. Maybe we'll get to meet Matt Ryan. He might be in attendance. We'll see about that. But
how mad would you be if I got to take a selfie with Matt Ryan?
I've met Matt Ryan.
Never mind then.
Multiple times, actually. I have 2 interactions with Matt Ryan. Both have been very pleasant. One time I went to training camp when I was little. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. And I was sitting there holding a Rise Up flag on the ropes, and Matt Ryan came and signed my flag. That was like one of the coolest moments ever.
Do you remember what he said to you? He's like, God damn, you're tall for an 8-year-old.
No, I think
8-year-old 6 feet tall.
I think I just said like something like, "Oh my gosh, I'm one of your biggest fans. I love watching you play." And he's like, "Oh, I appreciate it, buddy."
Yeah, right, kid. Get that all.
Corny little kid over here.
Get that all the time, buddy.
And then another time I was doing a fundraiser for my high school basketball team, and he bought donuts from me on the side of the road. So that was really sick as well.
Matt Ryan buys donuts off the side.
I highly doubt he maybe ate the Krispy Kreme donuts, but yeah, I was standing there at the corner of Spout Springs Road, or over there by the in Flyer Branch by the Falcons training facility, and he stopped by, bought some donuts for the guys. So I appreciate that. But yeah, very classy gentleman. But yeah, I have a theory about this, though, Christian, because you and I both agree 30-plus individuals going to a pro day from one organization, a bit of overkill. Now, I do think it is interesting that Matt Ryan has gone out of his way to talk about Kirby Smart and how much he appreciates what he's doing at the University of Georgia, because if you remember correctly, he was asked, like, oh, are you going to go defensive-minded? Seems like offensive-minded head coaches, that's the new meta, it seems like, in football. And he was like, well, Kirby Smart's a defensive-minded coach, and he's doing pretty good over there at Georgia. So I would say that it doesn't matter who you hire. It's all about hiring the right person. And then Kevin Stefanski and Ian Cunningham both had some very glamorous things to say about the University of Georgia and their football program. So a lot of love being shown by the Atlanta Falcons right now and the new regime over there for Kirby Smart and his program. Now we're sending 30-plus individuals to this pro day. So I have a theory. Maybe we're reworking the relationship over there. Maybe there was some hostility between the Atlanta Falcons and the previous coaches that Georgia had or the Falcons had. And now it's like Matt Ryan's here and these new guys are here and it's like, whoa, we got to fix this. We're going to do everything we can to make sure everybody knows, no, we love Georgia. We're making sure that we check all the boxes over there.
I don't know if it's necessary. Like, if there was animosity between the Georgia coaches and the Falcons coaches, what does that have to do with it? Like, if we're the Falcons and we want to draft your players, like you Georgia coaches can't do anything about it. I think here's my theory on this, and I'll say this. I think Atlanta is doing what teams like across the NFL are doing and looking and going, okay, here's a product in college football where a lot of these guys are not NFL ready. The Georgia Bulldogs are one of the few programs nowadays that get their players truly NFL ready. We were there at the Combine. We heard how many GMs, how many coaches are talking about how, man, these kids just aren't NFL ready anymore. Then you hear all the GMs at the podium say, Georgia players are ready day one. They're true professionals. I think that's what's going on. And not even to do the look at Philadelphia thing, but the track record of drafting Georgia Bulldogs typically pays off. James Cook is balling for the Bills. You know, George Pickens, for as much as a worry as he's been for personality-wise, he was fantastic for Dallas this year. The Raiders went and signed a bunch of their players. Brock Bowers has been incredible.
Lad McConkey.
Yeah, like so guys
Kamari
like
Lassiter.
Yeah, it pays off in the NFL to sign Georgia players. I think that's where the shift is coming from. I don't know if it's necessarily like we have to repair this relationship. Here's 30 scouts, Kirby.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, you know, signed Azeez Ojulari, signed Channing Tindall. We got Jalen Walker. And I'm not saying that Kirby Smart had animosity towards the Atlanta Falcons, but I think as the head coach of a football program, I would feel some type of way if I had the rosters that I did in 2021 and 2022, and the team right down the road was like, we're good. We don't need those guys. We don't need Jalen Carter. We don't need Jordan Davis. We don't need Kobe Dean, Nolan Smith, anybody like Bijan Robinson. That's who we need, which, hey, he's been good. All right. But I'm just saying, like, I would feel some type of way a little bit of, like, kind of look like the Falcons snubbed their nose up to all of that talent that Georgia had and was like, we're good, fam. I know we haven't been very good. We don't need that, though.
Here's my final question on this pro day. Do we get a Mike Tomlin appearance?
There's been plenty of Mike Tomlin appearances in Athens.
Mike Tomlin has practically lived in Athens during the pro day era. Like, always will be there, always shaking hands. Obviously, he's not the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, but has still been in Athens. Obviously, he's supporting his daughter, who's on the gymnastics team. Is Mike Tomlin going to pop in and just seeing what
like you think like he just got the itch still? Like, I just want to be around some football. I'll just go hang out at the pro day. Now, if he is there, I think he's going to be up top. I don't think he's going to be hanging around because
so they put you up in the weight room as well. Like you can go in the weight room and watch.
Well, there's like a little like landing space that's like up some stairs.
Yeah.
Like, former players go up there. That's usually where they watch from. They hang out up there. I could see him being up there.
Gotcha.
I don't know if he's going to be mingling with all the current NFL coaches and scouts and GMs because maybe that feels a little awkward. And also like you're not a coach right now. You're not a GM or anything like that. But
could be.
If he wants to check out some ball, I'm sure, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was there. Now, there usually are quite a few former players that show up. I know Nolan Smith was there last year. Amarius Mims was there last year. Some very familiar faces.
What do you think is going to be the viral moment, the Chaz Chambliss moment, shall we call it, where it's like, oh, my God, this guy just did 57 reps on bench press?
It's a good question. Who possesses this ability? Like, maybe Josh McCray does something freaky on the bench press? That's a strong man.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he's not like – I don't know.
Zachariah benching 20 on the
that was
impressive.
impressive.
So, I mean, he's obviously the athleticism.
I could see Noah Thomas making like some ridiculous catch.
That's what's going to be. Noah Thomas is going to do something incredible catching the ball.
I could also see it being Ryan Paglesi. Like if he's the one that throws, that might be the viral moment of like, holy crap, who is this?
Just get a laser show.
Yeah, one of those of like everybody loves a good laser show in an indoors facility.
Get a little Zach Wilson roll.
Yeah, one of those. Like I'll never forget last year. I can't remember who. I I can't remember who Gunner was throwing to. I want to say it was Arian Smith. Arian Smith was going to run a route. The NFL coach is out there telling the wide receivers what to do. And I'll never forget the NFL coach looks at Gunner. He's like, throw it as hard as you can. I don't care if you overthrow him by 10 yards. I just want you to throw it as hard as you can. And Gunner just slings that thing into the back of the end zone. And I think it was more so trying to see, like, could Arian Smith catch up with it?
Yeah.
All those good things. But you get one of those moments from Ryan of, like, just throw the piss out of it. Throw it as hard as you can.
Yeah, that might be it. That might be the one.
So maybe we'll get some recording by you if it is Paglesi, some cut up of Ryan Paglesi. I know we did one for Stockton last year, did a little breakdown of all of that, maybe some evolving of his mechanics, all those good things. What does he look like? But time will tell. We'll see how that plays out. Next segment. I didn't know if you had anything else to add.
Am I driving the ship now?
No. I was just making sure you didn't have anything else to add.
Dude.
I'm boss man today.
Yeah,
I tell you what to do.
I'm not. Look, I'm just sitting here.
So I'll tell you what we're doing now.
Dino Nuggies.
Yeah, why'd you put nuggets? Dino Nuggies is how you say it.
I was worried I was gonna. I don't know. I was in a pinch. I was running out of time.
Okay. All right.
I figured it's time to grow up, man.
Too good for nuggies.
Yeah, dude. Pronounce it like a
Andy Reid's not too good for nuggies.
All right, we're getting bogged down now.
All right. A segment that we have been trying to get to in every single Talk That Dog hour. Create a Georgia team by room. And what this person was asking during Q&A was, all right, take every position, and then you get to pick a year of that room under Kirby Smart, and those are your players on this roster. Try and complete the best team that you possibly can. So for some of these, there's some obvious answers. For others, we had a little bit of a debate. So, like, for starters, the quarterback room, I took 2022.
Yeah.
That was going to be prime Stetson Bennett. Carson Beck is on the roster. Brock Vandegrift is also on the roster.
Yeah,
I think that's a good trio.
The only other argument I think you could make is 2018, where you get Jake Fromm and Justin Fields. But other than that, like, I think people are going to take prime Stetson and Carson Beck over most in the room. So
Yeah, I would agree with that for
pretty
sure.
unanimous decision. Running back is also a pretty obvious decision. 2017.
That's it.
That running back room had 5 1,000-yard rushers. Sony went for 1,000. Nick Chubb went for 1,000. DeAndre Swift went for 1,000. People forget that Brian Harrion had a 1,000-yard season, and Elijah Holyfield went for 1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, just the most stacked running back room you could.
It doesn't get better.
Now, obviously, because they didn't have legendary NFL careers, but that is, I think, if you do what they do with the Alabama room and the Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, Todd Gurley photo, like, that's a legendary running back room.
Gunnar Stockton was the 2022 recruiting class. Oh, so he would be on that team. He would be. That would have been okay. He was. So Gunnar too in that quarterback room. That's a good call from chat. So I mean, that's all you need. I think that's a unanimous answer, but certainly a unanimous answer for the running back room. If you're picking anybody else, certainly questioning you as a person and your thinking skills. All right, wide receiver. There's some debate here. I think there's a couple of years that you could roll with. I ultimately went with the 2021 wide receiver room.
Solid year.
George Pickens, A.D. Mitchell's on the roster.
And by the way, this is on the assumption that all the players are healthy.
George is healthy. Like, we're taking it for what it is, face value, not how it actually ended up turning out. But George Pickens, A.D. Mitchell, Kyrus Jackson, Marcus Rosemi-Jacksaint is on this team as well. Ladd McConkey is on this team. Dominic Blaylock is on that team as well. I think that's a pretty loaded wide receiver room.
That's a fantastic answer. I ultimately went with 2025. You have Zachariah Branch, an 800-yard wide receiver. Colby Young, who was on pace to have a monster year before he got hurt. Solid options there. I mean, just absolutely massive talent. Dylan Bell, very solid receiver. London Humphreys, extremely reliable. Guys like that. Jacoby White-Helton, also on this roster, who have proven themselves to be reliable options. I think 2025 doesn't necessarily get the credit and the respect and love that it deserves, but it's a very solid wide receiver room. 2018
was a solid year as well, considering what that one was. I mean, you still had Mecole Hardman on that team.
Mecole Hardman.
Riley Ridley.
Jeremiah
Holloman. Yeah, that one didn't age as well, but at the time, he was really good.
Terry Godwin was on
that roster. There were some really good people in that.
Also hasn't aged very well. But.
All right, so I think you could go with – I like yours. I think you could go with different variances, but I ultimately went with 2021. Tight end room, I think this is another one that you don't get any better than this one. You get Darnell Washington. Oscar Delp at this point in time is a true freshman as well. That three-headed monster right there at tight end, that's it.
The only counter argument I would make to this, and I agree, I have 22 as well. The 21 roster, if you want to argue that senior John Fitzpatrick was a better player at the time of 22 Oscar Delp, true freshman Oscar Delp, you could make that argument. But I think we all agree that 2022 was the peak of what a tight end room could look like.
You're basically taking
football.
Darnell and year 2 Brock, like end of career Darnell and also year 2 Brock, like those two guys. Nobody was guarding or stopping that. All right, offensive line. There's tons of offensive lines that you could pick from. There's a lot that you really can't go wrong with. I ultimately went with 2021. There's a lot of talent on that one. As Jamari Sawyer. There's also who am I blanking? I always forget his name. Warren McClendon.
Warren McClendon was on this list. Cedric Van Pran was on this list.
Cedric Van Pran, Justin Schaefer, Broderick Jones, who was a true freshman at the time. He's on this team. Just really solid across the board. I think it's extreme. Tate Ratledge was a starter that year before he suffered the tightrope surgery at the beginning, or was it Liz from one of the two? He missed the entire season after suffering an injury against Clemson, but was a starter at the time. I mean, that one was loaded. So that's ultimately the room I went with.
Yeah, I went with 2023. A lot of similar names in this room. Tate Ratledge is there, but I think you also get prime Amarius Mims, who before the ankle injury, you get Monroe Freeling, a young Monroe Freeling here. Dylan Fairchild still playing at a baller level. So I think that those guys I think 2025 also deserves a shout out.
Oh yeah, they're solid.
If Ernest Green is available throughout the entire season, that's a really solid room, especially with how Donnie Glover and Juan Gaston turned out. Very solid.
Yeah, I think you'll be getting another one of these rooms here soon with how Juan Gaston and Donnie Glover are playing, with how Zyke Helton is already playing, it seems like. Drew Bobo's really solid. Ernest Green on this year's roster. Like this year's offensive line room, it might be one in this conversation at the end of the year as well. So, again, there's been tons of great offensive lines under Kirby Smart over the years, but ultimately I went with 2021. Kirby went with this past season. Defensive line, 2021.
There's no debate.
There's no debate. It is that defensive line.
There's not even you could go.
No.
It's 2021.
It is 2021. Linebackers.
Every player that was on the field that year was a first-round draft pick.
So good. So good.
Like, every single one.
Now, linebacker. This is going to sound a little crazy, but ultimately I went with the highest value individual player, knowing who I'm pairing it up with. I went with 2017 because could you imagine, like Roquan Smith put up ridiculous numbers in 2017 with a good defensive line, but not to the level of 2021.
Valid.
You put Roquan Smith with the 2021 defensive line and that joker's just running free for 4 quarters. Who knows what that looks like? I'll take whatever else you got for me, like Reggie Carter. I'll take Reggie Carter along. I just want Roquan. Yeah, Natrez Patrick. I just want Roquan.
That's fair. Seeing Roquan Smith and how much chaos he would cause behind that 21 defensive line would be fun. I think overall the 21 linebacker room is superior.
Yeah, it is.
Butkus award-winning Nakobe Dean, Channing Tindall, extremely talented player, first-round pick Quay Walker. Like, it's hard to go wrong there. So, and by the way, Butkus Award finalist Jamon Dumas Johnson behind them, like very solid players and a lot of solid depth as well.
100%. Completely understand, but again, I just want to see Roquan Smith, like nobody's touching him for 4 quarters. No, like nobody's getting to the second level. Like, whew, I can't imagine what that would look like. Cornerbacks.
Yeah, we split the corners and the safeties up. We're not doing DB rooms.
Again, kind of similar to linebacker. I'm choosing this room for one player and one player only, really. 2023 because I want Kamari Lassiter.
And Dalen Everett opposite of Kamari Lassiter is not a bad option either.
Yep.
I think this was also the year they were kind of working in and seeing who else was it? Was it
Julian Humphrey and Daniel Harris, but
kind of working them out.
Just give me Kamari.
That's fine.
Just want Lassiter.
I think we forget how insane that 2018 cornerback room was.
Yes.
You had Thorpe Award-winning DeAndre Baker, and then you had Tyson Campbell, who would be eventual second-round draft pick, Eric Stokes, an eventual first-round draft pick. That is a very, very solid cornerback room. Now, I know that DeAndre Baker's NFL career didn't necessarily pan out, and, say what you want about how Eric Stokes was as a first-round draft pick. He's been a very
played
solid,
well last season.
Both have been very solid corners in the NFL. I think 2018 is the superior room.
Yeah, I got to have Kamari, man. I got to have him. Safety, 2022. I get Malachi Starks. I get Chris Smith. I get Dan Jackson. That's all I need right there.
Bullard.
Javon Bullard. Tyke Smith, he's dealing with injury at the time, but still have him.
I went with 2023.
It's a really good one.
Similar
It's
reasons.
a really good one.
It's basically minus Chris Smith, the 2022 room.
Yeah.
You have Malachi Starks, who's no longer a babyface freshman. You have Javon Bullard, who's playing his best football as a free safety. You have Tyke Smith, who is playing out of his mind. And, oh, by the way, you still have Dan Jackson in the rotation. Just a safety room full of dogs. It felt like the 22 safety room was a room full of savants and, savvy players. 2023 was just dogs that are going to come after your head.
Yeah, I took 2022 because I ultimately wanted Chris Smith, and
That's
still
fair.
get
I love
Malachi,
Chris
Dan
Smith.
Jackson, all that stuff. So those are our teams from all the years by room under Kirby Smart. Let's go ahead and transition to some Q&A. Our
do it.
Discord lined up some great questions for us. Again, if you want to join the Discord, if you want to participate in these weekly offseason Q&As, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. Also, on top of that, we drop some practice intel over there, and we'll continue to do that throughout the offseason. So if you want all those goodies, again, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. All right, first question. MJ and a bunch of numbers. I'm still waiting on that 1v1 JWill. Where you at? Talking about 2K. We'll get there, all right? Life's a little busy. Baby on the way. Got some bigger priorities than playing 1v1 on 2K, but maybe eventually. Going on a trip. All right. Nathan P. says, which Georgia game are you looking forward to the most this season? What's the weekend you're looking forward to the most? Game I'm looking forward to the most, I would say, is Georgia-Oklahoma.
I'm not. I've got a wedding that game.
Ooh.
Not my wedding, but
yeah, I always look
wedding.
forward to a matchup between two teams that we don't see very often.
I am looking forward to that. I'd be looking even more forward to it if I.
And
were
it's a home game, so that environment I'm sure is going to be insane.
JWill, I know. I'm happy with the people.
Just say no. Just don't go.
I've known him for a long time.
I understand.
It would
Completely
be-
understand.
It would be rude of me not to go.
Completely understand.
However, I will be watching that football game. And they're Georgia graduates too. They should know
Oh,
better.
what?
Yeah.
I don't know these people, but shame on you. Check the calendar. It's not that hard. Whatever. Happy for you, though.
I would say the game I'm most intrigued. The weekend I'm most excited for is Halloween weekend.
I haven't looked at the weekends all that much.
There's going to
yet.
be a very interesting slate of games. I think it's also going to be interesting to see Georgia, Florida, and Atlanta.
Yeah.
A new dynamic. Like, I'm not excited for that, but obviously Alabama is an exciting game that you're always anxious for. But seeing them play in Tuscaloosa will be a lot of fun.
Caleb Mathis says, what is Georgia's best non-standard uniform combination? I think they should wear red pants first away game and black uniforms once a year at least. Non-standard uniform combination. I love the black uniforms. I mean, obviously, those are the ones that I like the most. I think they look the best. Would like to see how the icy white uniforms look, the all-white combo, the white helmets, although I love the red helmet. I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to that, but I don't think it gets much better than the red helmet.
Give me what the 2020 40th anniversaries they wore with the red pants and the
those
black
are
block
sick.
layers, and just add a black stripe to the helmet like they did in the 90s.
Yeah.
That would be the perfect uniform, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do like those, but I don't know how I feel about the all red ones that you see every now and then. Not sure how I feel
Too
about
much red, they
those.
look like Power Rangers.
Yeah, I
We
don't
did
know.
that in 2011. We're not doing that again.
Yeah, but at least this time it would be actual Georgia red. It wouldn't be a darker shade of red like they tried to do in 2011, but whatever. Joe Cox. Oh, hello, Joe Cox. Not the same Joe Cox that is currently
The
at LSU.
tight ends coach?
This is a different Joe Cox. Says, will Dwight Phillips be used more as a pass catcher or running back? If he's going to get playing time this year, I think that's what he has to do.
Yeah.
I think he has to develop into this third down running back for Georgia. We've been asking, who's going to be in this Cash Jones role? If Dwight Phillips can turn into that, absolutely. I mean, he would receive a whole bunch of playing time, but I don't know. He could be. I haven't exactly got to see him out of the backfield as a pass catcher, but maybe that works out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it kind of makes the most sense for him to be that just because of his skill set, but who knows?
Justin asks, what would it look like for Kirby to finish with the same legacy as Saban? Is the standard different now being in the NIL era? Do you think that Kirby is chasing that? I don't think Kirby's chasing it. I don't think Kirby's sitting in his office saying the day I retire is the day that I reach what the type of legacy that Nick Saban left. I do think though that it has changed a little bit. The degree of legacy I think it has changed just a tad. Nobody's going to win as many natties as Nick Saban did in this era of college football.
Here's what I'll say, and I think that this is kind of an unfortunate prediction. Kirby Smart's never going to catch Nick Saban. Even if Kirby Smart had 7 natties, I don't think he catches Nick Saban. Because revisionist history is going to be, well, yeah, he won those in expanded playoffs. Nick Saban was doing that in the BCS where he had to be a top 2 seed. So that's the unfortunate part where the college football playoff expansion obviously makes it easier to give an opportunity to win a national title. Hell, we've seen 2 lost teams compete for national titles the last 2 seasons right now. I think that's going to hurt Kirby's legacy more than anything.
And but even to counter that, people could say this guy transitioned into a new era of college football in the midst of him being one of the greatest at the time, being on top of the sport. He remained on top of the sport. I would say if Kirby Smart rattled off 2 more national titles and he gets up to 4. I think at that point, then it's you're somewhat comparable. I wouldn't say that Kirby Smart's a new GOAT by any means, but if you get 2 more national titles out of him, he would be a respectable, this guy's one of the greatest ever.
For sure. The other problem is obviously the head-to-head record.
Sure.
You'll never pass Saban.
You'll never live that down.
Because of that record right there. And that's unfortunate. And you're obviously not going to change that now. So.
Yep. But good question. I think that it certainly has changed of the criteria of what you have to do to be considered as one of the greats. Favorite in-person press conference moments covering UGA?
The first one that sticks out to me is after the Florida game this year, where Gunner was kind of asked about what this game means to him, and obviously the story of his grandfather passing away after a Georgia game years ago kind of stood out to him, and he recounted that. And kind of seeing the players around him, C.J. Allen, I forget who was also there with him, just kind of dap him up and just gesture to him, very brotherly stuff of man, this is actually a team of guys that love playing for each other. This isn't just, player A, B, and C are answering media questions. That was the first time I had the aha moment of, oh, wow, this is actually a team that's connected. I think another one happened today. Dropping a I'll wear this shit at a presser, pretty legendary.
One of my favorite interviews of all time was Trevor Achan, by the way. We've been saying it wrong the entire time. Have you seen this?
If they're not going to correct us, I'm sorry.
Well, I understand, but if you're going to tell me that we've been saying it wrong.
For sure.
So apparently it's supposed to be Achan.
But I don't feel guilty about it. It's
no, I don't feel guilty for being for the past 3 years I've been saying ETN when it's actually Achan. I'll happily change it. So Trevor Achan, interviewing him after the SEC championship game, listening to him talk about achieving one of the moments that he wanted to, why he transferred to Georgia, talking about how much the SEC title meant to him. That was really cool. I was in the press conference after the 2022 national title. I was there when Kirby Smart was oh, why are you crying, Andrew? Stetson's leaving. I don't want him to leave. He's well, he's got to. He's 25 years old, son. He has to leave. That was really funny. There's been a lot of them. I mean, I've been in so many of them now. It feels like all of it's a blur, kind of.
Flex.
I mean, I've been doing it now for 3 years. I would say consistently. It's not even a flex. It's not even that long. But at this point, a lot of them run together.
I think another fun one was, this isn't as much of a legendary moment just for us. Vanderbilt 2023. When they were remodeling the stadium and you had to interview the players in the parking lot.
Holy crap.
And them walking out and being what the hell is this?
Yeah, standing there talking to Dominic Lovett in front of a chain link fence just outside the stadium will never be replicated ever again, I hope.
Kirby Smart's post-game presser done in a construction foreman trailer.
Yeah, that's crazy. We couldn't even go in. They told us they didn't have enough room. They're we don't have enough desks in there.
You get one per site or one per.
So there's just a bunch of us standing outside the trailer waiting for Kirby Smart's press conference to be done. So yeah, that was definitely an unforgettable one as well. This comes from Hunter Lacey.
Oh, my biggest fan.
If Kirby's tenure as Georgia's head coach ended tomorrow, knock on wood, would he go down as a top 5 college football coach of all time?
That's a great question, actually. I would say yes.
Probably, I'd say in most eyes, he's viewed as a top 5 head coach all time.
You would have a serious, legitimate argument to do so. I think things get hazy when you kind of go back to 50-plus years ago of Joe Paterno, guys like that, where it's more aura than anything at this point. But to do what he has done in the modern era of college football, to win back-to-back national titles, to have the Georgia Bulldogs, a team that was always solid, but is now a full-fledged powerhouse and have him that way for a decade. Yeah, he's a top 5 coach.
I mean, yeah, we're closing in on 10 years of Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs at a moment's time never not being relevant, never not being talked about in the national title conversation. Like, they have remained there. He's remained on top of the sport. And it's hard to do anywhere. I know it's Georgia. I know it's one of the best jobs in the country. I'd say it about anybody, though. Like, doing that for as long as that, a decade, it's impressive. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things of, like, you don't expect that just to be done because it's a pro. Like, it's because it's Georgia. So yeah, I'd say it's top 5. Will the sophomore edge players make an impact? They better. They have to. Now, it's not it is like doesn't dictate the season because you have Gabe Harris, Quintavious Johnson, you added in Amaris Williams. Those guys are going to be great for you, but Isaiah Gibson, Darren Ikinabon. How'd you say this is supposed to be said?
I heard it pronounced today, Ikinabon.
Darren Ikinabon.
I don't know if that's correct. He hasn't corrected us, but I heard it pronounced that way. So
okay.
Judging by the fact that the original pronunciation came from Brooks, I'm willing to assume it might be incorrect.
Never will forget Xavier McLeod and how after I corrected him on it, he chose to defend his stance of it's spelled McLeod. Well, yes, it's spelled McLeod, but it is definitely Xavier McLeod. Anyways, Chase Linton, all those guys in that edge room that are going into year 2, they have to be impactful. You need them because we've also seen at moments at the snap of a finger, like one of those guys goes down and Gabe Harris or Quintavious Johnson, even for a game, you're going to need those guys to be ready and to be ready to impact the football game. So
for sure.
They need to. It's a huge spring for them. This comes from Sigma Film Guy, H Jacket 68. Go-to shot to kick off St. Patty's Day. I swear if Kirby says a car bomb, LOL. Also, the 15 milligrams are working again. If you remember last week's Q&A, Sigma Film Guy said that what should I do if the 15 milligram pouches aren't doing it for me anymore? We said maybe take a tolerance check, maybe just wean off of them for a week or so. So maybe he took our advice.
Seems like he took our advice and it's successful.
So I'm happy that the 15 milligram pouches are doing it for you now. They're working for you. I don't do shots.
I don't do Irish car bombs.
The best shot I have ever had in my life. This was at a bar in Bowling Green, Ohio. I was with my father-in-law. He was showing me the town. He went to college there and all that good stuff, so showed me the sights and everything. We went to a bar, and I got made I did not request this. It was just handed to me. It was an Egg McMuffin shot. Or no, a McGriddle. It was a McGriddle shot.
I could see that.
A McGriddle shot.
McMuffin is like...
And it had like this orange juice, syrupy. Oh, it was the best shot I've ever had, but I don't do shots.
I would just say a normal shot of whiskey if you're trying to.
Yeah, like if I had to pick one, just pour me a shot of Basil Hayden and whatever.
I don't know if I have like the go-to, like, oh, it's St. Patrick's Day. I got to get my St. Patrick's Day shot in, but.
Yeah. But yeah, not a shot guy, but there you go. There's our answer. Calling all the dogs. How much money is Kirby willing to donate to Glory to ensure black jerseys this year? What's the price tag?
I don't have enough money to ensure black jerseys this year. But also, I would like to just revise something. I think it's gotten misconstrued that like I'm one of these people that's like begging for black jerseys. I made a prediction in the end of the 2024 season that Georgia would wear black jerseys, which was obviously incorrect. But I'm not one of these people where it's like, oh, please, we have to wear the black jerseys, Kirby. Like, it'd be cool to see him. Yeah, I'd enjoy that. But I'm not, like, jersey fan number one for black jerseys. So just a revisionist history there.
Your dad saying take straight tequila as a shot gives me just horrible flashbacks. Just, no. No, I can't.
See, tequila shots for me have always been like, all right, I did one of those. I did two of those. I've never just been like, I've had 9 tequila shots tonight.
I did one tequila shot one time. Now, this was followed by a heavy day of drinking, but I don't know. It's just one of those things of rather not. I'll do it in a mixed drink, but whatever. I don't think I can do a shot of it. All right. Chris Brown asks, Don't worry, Dr. JWill. I won't hit you. I forgot I said that last time in the Q&A. So I've got the moves, but not the money. Couple of questions. What is the college football destination you boys want to go to as a team? What is your dream away game for the Dogs? Is it possible to root for the USA and Ronald Acuna at the same time? Absolutely it is. World Baseball Classic going on right now. Venezuela versus the United States. So kind of rooting for both, or rooting for Acuna, but also primarily rooting for the United States. Have you read Project Hail Mary? Movie comes out Friday. Very excited. I have not. Have you read that?
I might go see the movie. I'm hearing it's getting good reviews.
Okay. Might be worth the watch. Also, JWill, when the baby comes, look into the Baby Merlin sleep suit. Won't fit the baby until a few weeks in, but it helps him sleep and is a lifesaver. Thank you very much. Always looking for requests and things that I should be on the lookout for an incoming father. Anything that will make our life and ease into this next step of life easier. Recommendations are always welcome, so I appreciate you there. To the initial question of what is the dream college football destination for you guys, Death Valley at night. Maybe we check that off this year. Maybe we don't. Not sure.
Hawaii Rainbow Warriors.
You want to go there?
Go to Hawaii, cover a football game?
I mean, yeah, I understand that. That'd be cool. Not sure it's like on my dream bucket list. I'd rather just go to Hawaii.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. I wouldn't say like I don't want. I'm like itching to see Georgia play in Death Valley. Like that's a daunting stadium.
Well, no, this was just dream college football destination.
See Death Valley at a night game. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's your dream away game for the Dogs?
The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors.
That's a good one.
Easy win. Get to go out to Hawaii. Not something you have to stress.
Mm-hmm.
Why not, dude?
I mean, any of the ones I would pick are going to be daunting environments. Like
that's fair.
Going on the road to Oregon would be cool. Going to Ohio State would be really cool.
Very cool.
Any of those, like non-SEC teams, big brands, road games, I think those would be really cool.
Seeing Georgia play in Doak Campbell would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could see that one. I really wish that UCLA and Georgia had played like they planned on in the Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl would have been great.
That would have been really cool. Swervu says most annoying player on a UJ rival you feel like they face in your guys' time watching the team.
So annoying, I view annoying as like just someone
like annoyingly good,
like an inconvenience, not someone where it's like Tim Tebow was like, oh my God, this guy's the boogeyman, stuff like that. Like Cam Newton was like, oh, there's no annoying in my opinion. Is like a Thorne. Pitts was definitely this. Watching Kyle Pitts play for 2 or 3 seasons against Georgia was annoying. Now, obviously, the 2020 season resulted in them beating us, but
Hunter's given a really good one. Jalen Milroe. That was so annoying.
Jalen Milroe's
that was a very annoying watch every time.
Jalen Milroe might be the correct answer for this because it's a guy where it's like you don't think he's that good, you don't think he's that great, but damn, when he plays
every time he played Georgia it was holy crap, this guy's the greatest.
Had people saying Alabama's offense is the best in the country, like turn into prime Mike Vick.
Yeah, some people said that. They sure did. Gucci Mane 22. We need a 5-minute solo Dr. JWill segment for the local hour where he covers the Hoop Dogs. Maybe start next season. Just thought. I'm all game for it. It's all ultimately up to the boss man and Christian if that would be allowed on the show.
I don't get a vote in this shit.
You certainly do. You're part of the show. I'll give you a vote. I'll give you my vote.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I won't actually. I need at least one vote in my favor.
All right.
Maybe.
I'd be down.
Maybe that's in the works. We'll see. Kind of hard to do that in football season, like dedicating 5 minutes to Georgia basketball. But hey, when the offseason hits and the hoops are still in prime showtime, I'm all for it. Dolphin Master, final question. We'll talk about what G5 team will you hop on to spoon forward like you did Toledo this year? Don't know yet. Got to do my research. Toledo ultimately let me down just a little bit, but hey, Tucker Gleason and them boys, they were still balling out every single weekend. I was peeping game every single weekend, checking the box scores, making sure my Rockets were showing out. But there you go. There's Q&A. There's this week's shows, unless Kirby ultimately ends up deciding he's going to do a solo show.
I don't know if that'll get greenlit by the powers that be.
Oh, okay.
The Matrix might attack me and say no.
I hope that doesn't happen, but if that is indeed the last time we see you guys this week, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe before you head out if you haven't done so already. We appreciate you guys, of course, as well for sticking with us when it's just me and Kirby in the studio. We know it's not the typical show that you guys tune in for, but any type of support that you guys give us and always sticking with us for the entire 2 hours, an hour, 30 minutes, whatever amount of time you gave us tonight, we immensely appreciate it. And if so, there you go. That's the show. We'll see you next week. Love you guys. Bye.
Then you said I love you. That's nice.
I love the fans. I love our people. Do you love them?
I do love them.
Okay. Christian loves you guys too. He may not say it, but he means
Well, I
it.
just never hear him say it back, so it always feels awkward to say. Like, you know when you tell someone you love them and then they just hang up?
Ooh.
That's what it feels like.
We love you guys.